What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5 nanoseconds. Chapter 146. After all, Su-Yu stared at the burning locks. To be honest, he was really worried now. Locks jumped up and yelled, "I was resurrected." Snapped. The waves hit the ground, splashed, and then landed on Locks. But this flame has an inextinguishable attribute. Even if it is the flame that throws Locks into the sea and burns, it will not go out. After a while, Locks turned to ashes under Su-Yu's gaze, and the blue flame was also extinguished at that moment. Call. Su-Yu took a breath and looked around at the collapsed Valley of the Gods. The pirates are marine who fell into the sea. He sighed heavily again. It is finally over. Tread. Suddenly at this moment, Roger fell next to Su-Yu. Locks him. Su-Yu cast his gaze on Roger, and said calmly, "He died." Roger breathed a sigh of relief, and then said solemnly, "Did you finally defeat him? However, that guy is really outrageous. If there is no Su-Yu, I really can't help him." Locks' strength is unquestionable. If Locks is allowed to grow, Su-Yu believes that his future achievements will never be lower than Roger. Yes, it's really strong, but his story has come to an end in the Valley of Gods. After that, Su-Yu began to emit a faint blue light, followed closely, and slowly floated up. When it reached a certain height, Su-Yu shouted loudly. The Lock era has ended. As Su-Yu's voice could reach, all the fighting stopped. What? Did Captain Locks lose the battle? A certain Rocks pirate member said with a look of horror. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Who is the boss of Locks? He is the representative of the strongest pirate in the New World. He is a man who wants to dominate the world. How could his story end without achieving his goal? The pirate on the side simply does not accept this fact. Indeed, Rock's current reputation far exceeds that of Su-Yu. Most of the crew of Rock's pirate believe that Rocks is invincible and no one can beat him. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. That's right, how could Captain Locks lose to the hand called Su-Yu? Another member of Rock's pirate also retorted. Jump. Suddenly at this moment, Whitebeard walked to these people with a naginata in his hand. His sharp gaze fell on Su-Yu floating in the air. Then he sighed heavily, because he had already guessed the result. Locks really lost to Su-Yu and the others. I knew there would be this battle one day, but I never thought it would be the result. Whitebeard murmured. Where's Captain Locks? Why is Su-Yu arrogant? Go up and knock him down. The pirate standing next to Whitebeard said again. Captain Locks was defeated. Whitebeard said calmly. When everyone heard it, they were stunned. Senior Edward, why do you say this? Yes, how could Captain Locks be defeated by Su-Yu? He is the strongest, no one is invincible. It's impossible for Captain Locks to lose. What's impossible there? Even if you don't admit it, you can't change the fact that Captain Locks was defeated. Whitebeard said lightly. As soon as these words came out, they all wrinkled and began to cry. Although Rock's pirate had many contradictions, they couldn't help crying when they heard the news of Rock's fall. After all, many people can have such an achievement today, and that was given by Locks. Rock's pirate, from this moment on, has been disbanded. Let's all escape for their lives. Whitebeard said in a deep voice. Senior Edward, how can you say such a thing? Yes, even if the story of Captain Locks ends, but we are still there, we can all continue to write. Hearing this, Whitebeard sighed. Diaresis friends, all be sober, Rock's pirate without Rocks has no soul. After leaving a sentence, Baihu held the naginata and left towards the other side. The others stared at Whitebeard's back, pondered for a few seconds, and did not intend to continue the fight, and began to evacuate. After a while, in front of Whitebeard, Su-Yu fell from the sky. It's been a long time. Edward, Su-Yu said. Why, are you here to pursue the remnants of Rock's pirate? Whitebeard asked. Su-Yu waved his hand and explained. Thinking too much, if I didn't guess wrong, the relationship between your Rock's pirate is almost all used separately. You know us quite well. How do you plan? Su-Yu asked. Whitebeard pondered for a few seconds, then whispered softly. I think it's time for me, Wang Haojiao, to find my own family. Then I wish you good luck here first. Would you like a few drinks? I bring fine wine on the boat. Su-Yu asked. Whitebeard stared at Su-Yu, and then said lightly, forget it this time, when we meet again next time, I will take my crew to drink up your wine. Tisk tusk. Then don't meet again next time. Su-Yu said, floating slowly, and then waved his hand. There will be some time to blow. Chapter 147. Whitebeard's deep pupils stared at Su-Yu's distant back. A few seconds later, he said, time flies so fast. Back then, you only had one crew member, and I haven't joined Rock's pirate. Now, you have found your partner, and my path has just begun. At the same time, Kaido sighed. Needless to say, their battle stopped because of Su-Yu's shout just now. Su-Yu really defeated Captain Locks. Kaido stared at the other island that had sunk into the sea, with an unbelievable expression on his face. However, it is true that Kaido never thought that even if Rock's pirate and marine temporarily joined forces today, they would still be defeated. It was unexpected. Captain Locks fell like this, which is really a pity, Longbread said softly. However, the mood was not like Whitebeard's, because Locks' fall caused little emotional impact. It is estimated that more than him, most of Rock's pirates' cadres did not bring much impact to Rock's fall. Now the situation is completely messed up. Look, There are 640 other people on Marine's side who have also begun to retreat. I think we should evacuate here too. We won't be able to run until Suyu and the others are relieved. Now, Charlotte Linlin said. Look at it, Kaido suddenly said again. Edward and Shiki have also retreated. Let's go, Linlin, we also leave the Valley of Gods while the chaos is now a pot of porridge. Longbread said. Charlotte Linlin nodded, then said, okay. As the voice fell, a white cloud ran out of Charlotte Linlin. And its name is Thundercloud Zeus. Thundercloud Zeus is one of Charlotte Linlin's skills. Thundercloud is anthropomorphized due to the ability of Soul Fruit and became one of Charlotte Linlin's hormats. I saw Charlotte Linlin talk, Zeus suddenly grew bigger, and then Charlotte Linlin sat on it. Sit here and leave. Longbread and Kaido nodded. When the two sat down, Zeus began to move quickly. Linlin, I owe you a favor today. I will definitely return this favor to you in the future. Kaido said in a deep voice. Indeed, without Charlotte Linlin, he really couldn't say that he could leave the Valley of God so easily. On Marine's side, Gengu Kong and Sengoku were also attacked by the Senju Buddha statue. Both of them were seriously injured. However, the two of them are a little luckier. Because Garp and Moses were successfully rescued from Senju Hashirama's hands. Then they did not intend to continue the hard bar. After saving the people directly, they issued an order to retreat to all the Marines. They know very well that if they insist on going on, they are destined to be the same as Locks. However, their evacuation was relatively smooth, and Senju Hashirama did not continue to chase. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Instead, I wanted to see who else needed help, but after running a few laps, I found it was not used at all. Tatata. Their feet splashed with blood on the ground, and soon Roger and Suyu's people gathered together. Suyu, on the other side, is constantly digging the ground. Yes, he found gold coins on this ground a few minutes ago. If you didn't guess wrong, this place should be Celestial Dragon's vault. Crack. Suyu turned over a tile, as he expected, a lot of gold and silver treasures appeared. Tisk tusk tusk, I didn't expect to be able to pick up such a bargain. It seems that today is really my lucky day. Not only did Locks fall, I also found so many treasures. Suyu was secretly happy, and then quickly began to exchange. Exchange. Ding dong, congratulations on the successful exchange of host, and got 100 summon value. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully redeeming and earning 300 summoning points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully redeeming and getting 500 summon value. After redeeming what he could see, Suyu continued to dig. This process came directly several times. Crack. Suyu removed a stone slab again, this time it was not the same as before. What appeared in his vision was not gold and silver treasures, but a pool of muddy water. He reached out and touched it, except for a few broken stones, and then there was nothing left. I'm going to look elsewhere. After searching for a lap, nothing was found. The ground was damaged too badly. Suyu could find one, and he doubted whether he was trading his lifespan for it. Host. Suyu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Reem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wangyi 25%, Denisha 25%. Summoning character inheritance. Kido Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Superpower 40%, Dragon Roll. Summoning value. 140,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Under Fire 1849 2000 Thor 436 2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate 1910 2000 Observation Hockey 1910 2000 Conquerors Hockey 1200 2000 Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 8/12. After glanced at his attribute panel, Suyu found that the running in progress of the summoning task had improved a lot this time. However, what made him a little puzzled was why he didn't get part of the ability to summon characters. Indeed, under normal circumstances, a running in of 30% will obtain part of the ability of the summoning task. But this time, Jiraiya and Wuluki didn't have any. Suyu pondered for a few seconds. Is it possible, because the abilities are extremely similar? So the system is directly transitioned out. Forget it, anyway, the two of them don't have any ability for me to spy on. Seeing that he had enough summoning value to summon the new member, Suyu smiled with satisfaction. However, he didn't plan to summon right now, instead he planned to summon him when he returned to his ship after handling the Valley of the Gods. Suyu. Suddenly, at this moment, not far away, Roger's voice came. Suyu heard the prestige and went. What's the matter? Are you looking for something? I think you keep moving things down. Roger asked suspiciously. Chapter 148. Listening to Roger's words, Suyu smiled lightly, and then pushed away the tiles that were blocking his feet. Immediately afterwards, a faint blue light emerged from his whole body again, and then slowly rose up. What can be found in the ruins? Just take a look. Roger looked at Suyu with a strange look, and then said with a dumb smile. You guy, aren't you looking for Uranus, one of the 3 ancient weapons, Lanos? Roger's words suddenly woke up Suyu, if it weren't for him to mention it. Suyu really forgot about Uranus, the king. What do you want? I'm not interested in the 3 ancient weapons. Suyu gave Roger a blank look, and replied angrily. Perhaps, if Suyu's cheat was not a summoning system, maybe he would have the idea of playing 3 ancient weapons. But, he has a summoning system, and he has countless powers that can destroy the world, and the three ancient weapons are nothing more than insignificance. It's true. I don't believe it a little bit. Su Yu waved his hand, with a slightly helpless expression on his face. Believe it or not, but I'm curious about Uranus, what is it? Is it a dead thing or a living thing? Before crossing, Su Yu knew that Pluto was a super warship, Poseidon was a mermaid princess, but Uranus, the king, didn't know what it was. Tisk tusk tusk, look at you, and you said that you are not interested in Uranus, but you can't be blamed. After all, this kind of thing is very greedy for everyone. Roger reasoned on his own. Su Yu swallowed hard and pressed down the flames that rushed to his throat. Okay, you just treat me as interested, then what is Uranus? Roger shook his head. I don't know. Quote. After doing it for a long time, it seems to be a question of nothing. Rocks stopped in the Valley of Gods. Roger, what are you going to do next? Su Yu changed the subject and asked. Hearing this, Roger fell into contemplation for a few seconds, then groped his chin with a smile. Continue on the journey, I haven't finished, how about you? You know, I'm not very interested in anything. The solution to Locks this time is just because he is afraid that he will trouble me in the future. The next day, I am ready to be a salted fish. Su Yu said calmly. Although he is currently interested in the blank 100 years in history, he doesn't need to act on his own at all, he only needs to tell himself later. Ha 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 ha. Roger laughed out loud. Su Yu, you guy is really a very special person. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Everyone has their own ambitions. You like to take risks, but I like to be leisurely and lead a carefree life. Fighting and killing is not what Su Yu longs for. He just wants to do what he likes every day. He doesn't want to be in the world before, and he is running around in order to live and become embarrassed. Before we leave, let's gather for a meal, Roger proposed. Also, when you finish your itinerary, remember to come back and meet me. Su Yu smiled. A few hours later, Holy Land Mary Geois, above the void throne, Im slowly opened his eyes. It's really surprising. The one who lost was the guy Locks. Yim was slightly surprised. At first, he was absolutely sure that it would be Roger or Su Yu, or the pirate group of both of them would be destroyed. But what I never thought was that Locks and Marine were defeated. But, even if this turns out to be the case, Su Yu, Roger, you can't afford to stir up much waves. Speaking of the back, the corners of Yim's mouth raised slightly, and a strange smile leaked out. It seemed that all of this was in her hands. At the same time, it is also the Holy Land Mary Geois. A certain castle, a certain conference room. The five men were sitting solemnly on a long table with their hands propped on their heads, their faces extremely solemn. The battle in the Valley of the Gods has passed back, but the ending is very different from what we expected. The man in the middle suddenly twisted his eyebrows, and sweat dripped from his forehead. Find flowers. Yup. The man next to him nodded, frowning and said, the result of the Valley of Gods is indeed far from what we expected. Unexpectedly, Rock's pirate and Marine teamed up to lose to the Super Dimension Pirates and Roger Pirates. Damn, Rock's pirates' reputation began to surpass both of them. How did Marine lose? At this moment, the bearded man asked the man who answered the phone worm. The loss is also very serious, the steel frame is empty, and Sengoku has suffered a different serious injury. Other Marine casualties are more than half. 0. Where is Su Yu and Roger? Another man continued to ask. Roger's side is not clear. There are few people on Su Yu's side. It is said that there is no loss. It seems that only one or two suffered minor injuries. As soon as this remark came out, the other four men fell silent again. These words reminded them of the previous demon slaying order incident. Su Yu did not lose a single person, and Marine suffered a serious loss. Damn, what the hell are the people of this super dimension pirate group? Why are they almost intact in every battle? I'm a little confused when you say that. Is this luck, or is it strength? I think, Roger Pirates, we don't need to pay more attention at the moment. On the other hand, Su Yu has to pay more attention. But, at present, Marine seems to have little combat power. Gangu Kong and Sengoku are both injured. It is estimated that they will not be able to get out of bed before waiting for a while. As for Garp, if he goes alone, then it's almost dead. Chapter 149. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. As for dealing with Su Yu, let's delay it first. Now Marine's combat power is seriously weakened. The long-bearded man said lightly. Yes, there are some things that can't be rushed, just wait. However, do we need to report to Lord Yim about the Valley of the Gods? No, in fact, we don't need to report, she probably already knew about the Valley of the Gods. Having said this, the other four men suddenly thought of Gengukong and Locks teaming up in the Valley of Gods. If it weren't for Im, the five elders at the time didn't know. Yeah, maybe she knew it a long time ago. Valley of Gods. The heavy rain finally stopped an hour ago, and then a big sun appeared, which seemed to herald the arrival of a new era. Originally, Su Yu and the others were planning to have a celebration banquet in the area on the shore of the Valley of Gods. However, the smell of blood was too much, and there was no way. In the end, Roger and Su Yu could only sail while holding a celebration banquet. Come on, Senior Su Yu, I toast you a glass, this battle, you have done the most. One of the pirates held up the glass and toasted to Su Yu. Su Yu smiled indifferently, raised his big wrist, touched it lightly, and then started drinking. What? It's really good wine. Aren't you nonsense? I kept it secretly. Normally, I don't want to take it out to drink. If you weren't here today, I would never open the seal. Roger said from the side. Brother, are you interested in coming to our super dimension pirate group? Su Yu teased the brother just now. Su Yu, you guy, don't go too far, I'm still here. Roger laughed out loud. Of course he knew that Su Yu was joking. Come on, Senior Su Yu, don't make jokes about me, or I can't eat and leave. The Roger crew member smiled bitterly. Basic exercises, are all learned from your Rayleigh. Su Yu said, pour the wine of the biggest names again, and drank it all in one go. Rayleigh frowned on the side. Don't mention it, your tornado almost messed up us. Ha 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 ha. The laughter spread directly throughout the two ships. By the way, what I said here, I suddenly thought of one thing, Su Yu, the people on your boat are deep hidden thief, I didn't expect that besides you, there are people on your boat who will use which huge wooden person. Rayleigh is serious, opened the mouth. Gee, Senju Hashirama waved his hand. Tisk tusk tusk, the people on your boat are really. Su Yu, to be honest, besides Hashirama, no one on your boat will use that wooden giant. Rayleigh asked. You guess. Su Yu winked at Rayleigh, then smiled lightly. Come on, I can't guess. In my eyes, I don't think anyone on your ship is simple. Everyone has his own skills. Oh, why don't we meet such a crew member? You say yes, right, Roger. As Rayleigh said, Yu Guang looked at Roger. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. That's right, Su Yu, your kid is too lucky. Although I found fewer crew members than me, but the quality is really good, honestly, do you have any strategies? Roger also asked. Su Yu smiled and said, where is there any strategy, I'm just lucky. Then your luck is not exchanged for life. Roger teased. I want to know about the wood giant. You want to know, I'll tell you. Anyway, it's not a secret. It's not a secret. All the people on the boat can do it. Su Yu said, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Hiss. Rayleigh and Roger heard them, and suddenly held their breath. Really and falsely. The people in your boat are really terrible. As expected of Su Yu senpai's partner. Why do I suddenly feel that you are even more terrible than rocks? Thank you that we are not enemies, or maybe we will have to taste the power of the wood giant. You lied to you. Su Yu looked at their surprised expressions and burst into laughter. You guy. Roger frowned, then got up and picked up the cans of wine beside him. Hey, Roger, what are you doing? I think you drank too much. Fart, just tell me if you don't want to drink it. Su Yu spat. Ha ha ha. Around, there was a burst of laughter again. Which sentence you just said is true? Roger asked again. Stop teasing you, only me and Hashirama will meet. Su Yu said with a smile. In this way, Su Yu and Roger drank directly for a long time, drank up Roger's, and then drank Su Yu's wine again. On this day, the banquet lasted until very late. Su Yu returned to his boat and slept directly until noon. When he turned over and just wanted to get up, he found that Lem fell asleep with his face leaning against the bed. Su Yu was startled slightly, and thought to himself, why is Lem here? In fact, it was when Lem saw Su Yu drank a lot at night. She was afraid that Su Yu would need to take care of her at night, so she came here. Waiting by the bed, and then fell asleep. Su Yu thought for a few seconds, as if thinking of something. Smiled slightly. Hey, I didn't expect Su Yu to have such a day. After that, he got up gently, then carefully picked up Lem and put it on the bed. During the process, Lem woke up, and after seeing that it was Su Yu, she narrowed her eyes again. After covering her with a quilt, Su Yu stretched. Then opened his own properties panel. Host. Su Yu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Reem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wang Yi 25%, Denisha 25%. Summoning character inheritance. Keto Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Superpower 40%, Dragon Roll. 3.6. Summoning value. 140,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Underfire 1849 2000 Thor 436 2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate 1910 2000 Observation Hockey 1910 2000 Conquerors Hockey 1200 2000 Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 8/12. After scanning, he nodded in satisfaction. It's time to do business. Chapter 150. Just when Su Yu just wanted to summon. Crack. A sound. The door of the room was gently pushed open, followed by Ram's little head cautiously poking in through the crack in the door. Since Su Yu was on the side and Ram's eyes were directly on the bed, she did not find Su Yu for a while. However, when she saw Lem lying on Su Yu's bed, Ram instantly began to think about it. Immediately afterwards, her face was flushed red, and her body was twisting from time to time, showing a very self-conscious look. Impossible, I must think too much. Ram forcibly denied his previous thoughts. As soon as the voice fell, Su Yu's voice rang from the side. What are you doing? Ram subconsciously heard the reputation and saw Su Yu. She straightened her body immediately, as if she had done something wrong, and said in a twitchy manner, "No. No, yes, I'm here, see if you are awake." "What's wrong? Did something happen?" Breathing in again, Ram's tone returned to normal. "The Roger pirates are about to set sail. He asked me to come over to see if you are awake. If you wake up, he will come to say goodbye to you. If you don't wake up, they will leave silently." Su Yu smiled and whispered softly, "This guy is quite deliberate. Since he has got up, he doesn't need to come and say goodbye to me. I'll go by myself." After all, Su Yu tidied up his clothes, and then walked out in a hurry. Ram glanced at Lem on the bed and followed Su Yu's steps in small steps. Seeing Su Yu and the others are gone, Lem rolled up on the bed with a happy expression on his face. Since being rescued by Su Yu last time, his favorability for Su Yu has risen a lot. "What happened to you and Lem last night?" Ram hesitated for a long time, and still asked quietly from the side. Su Yu glanced at her, reminiscing about her movements and expressions when she opened the door, obviously thinking about that. "What are you thinking about? I watched her guard me all night, and then hugged it on the bed." Su Yu explained. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Ram nodded his head, and had no doubt about Su Yu's words. "Oh, that's how it is." Walking outside, at this time on Roger's boat, all their members gathered on the edge of the boat. Seeing Su Yu walking out, they shouted enthusiastically. "Senior Su Yu, we are about to set sail. Senior Su Yu, there will be a period later." Su Yu saw their enthusiastic look, smiled slightly, and waved at them. "There will be a period later. I think it won't be long before we will meet again. Su Yu, don't you really think about letting us join forces to turn the world upside down?" Roger stood in the forefront, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, shouting enthusiastically. "I still prefer watching the show, I am waiting for your good news." Su Yu smiled faintly. "Then, well, after my adventure is over, let's have a drink to our heart's content. I'm waiting for you." Listening to Su Yu's words, Roger turned around and shouted, "Go, brothers." Gazing at the departure of Roger's boat, Su Yu sighed slightly. "What Rock's pirate failed to accomplish will be done by you, Roger. As for me, it's better to enjoy life." After that, he cast his gaze on Ram again, and said, "Ram, let them know, we're back on the voyage." "Good la." Su Yu stretched again, it's time to go back to do his business. Back in his room, Lem had already got up and didn't know where he was going. However, Su Yu didn't care too much. Start calling. Ding dong, calling. Summon success. Congratulations to host for acquiring Kona Kamui from the world of Maid Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. As usual, when the sound of the system fell, a bunch of light particles appeared, and then these light particles gathered together and finally slowly transformed into a human form. Then from the virtual body, the blink of an eye, it transforms into an entity. From the Lin Zhengyings, it's wrong, the dragon maid from the Xiaolins, Kong Na. Speaking of this, Su Yu already has pictures in his mind, because of this episode, he has watched it before crossing. If Su Yu remembers correctly, although Kong Na's appearance 640 is only 10 years old, the actual age is already long. In other words, she is just a long-lived child. In the next second, a pair of over-the-knee stockings was worn on a pair of short, thick legs wearing a gothic lowly costume and a pair of red shoes on his feet. Her hair faded to purple, with double ponytails, and a beaded headdress hung behind her. His blue eyes were clear, and some babies had fat little faces. And there is a slender tail behind him, and a purple ball at the end, which looks fluffy, swinging freely in the air. Su Yu took a look at her. How to say, his first feeling is that the picture is very strong, she looks very cute. Looking at her, Su Yu can't help reaching out and squeezing her face. Chapter 151. Kong Na Shui Lingling looked at Su Yu with both eyes, as if she hadn't been relieved. Ahem. Su Yu pretended to cough a few times to relieve the embarrassing atmosphere, and then continued, "Welcome to another world." "Another world," Kana murmured, suddenly remembering something, and then continued, "By the way, I remembered, I was abducted by a bad guy." "Bad guy?" Su Yu looked at Kong Na in surprise. "Isn't the summoning this time different from the previous process?" "You were that bad guy." Kong Na suddenly changed her conversation and pointed at Su Yu with her little finger. Su Yu couldn't laugh or cry. "How come I became a bad guy?" Success. Kana suddenly attacked Su Yu, and Su Yu was also caught off guard by this action. After all, this situation has never happened again before, and the anime of Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is not a battle blood. But Kong Na's strength is not weak. Stop, I'm putting it on here." Su Yu hurriedly explained, but at the same time Kana had already come to Su Yu's side. Papa, bad. Kana's small fist continuously tapped Su Yu's abdomen. This move caught Su Yu by surprise. Call. Su Yu sighed heavily. It seemed that he was thinking too much. He thought Kana was going to come for real. Bad. Kana tapped several times, then stopped to rest, and then continued tapping again. Almost thought it was a problem with the system. Su Yu thought to himself inwardly, and then reached out and opened the drawer on the side. Take out a packet of jerky from the inside, and then tore it open. The fragrance quickly echoed in this room. Kong Na smelled the scent, and then stopped directly, raising her head. Shui Lingling's eyes looked at Su Yu, but she was actually looking at the jerky on Su Yu's hands. In the original book, Kong Na can be regarded as a foodie. In her eyes, everything can be eaten. Would you like to eat? Su Yu asked. Kana swallowed, then whispered, I don't want to eat it. If this is the case, I can only eat it myself. Su Yu pretended to sigh, and then just wanted to put it in his mouth. Kana pulled Su Yu's sleeves, and said gruffly, I'll help you taste it. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. He said that he didn't want to eat, but his body was very honest. Su Yu passed the jerky in her hand to Kong Na. After Kong Na took it, she sat on the edge of the bed. Because Su Yu's bed is a bit high, Kong Na sits on the edge of the bed and shakes her legs while eating jerky. Next, I have to tell you a bad news, and a good news. Su Yu said. What bad news, what good news? Kana asked. The bad news is that you will never go back to your world. Su Yu said lightly. Hearing that, Kong Na's face and expression did not change too much, because the system had already told her before she came. However, she didn't really care too much. Anyway, she was exiled from the original world because of the prank. The only thing she was sad about now was that she would never see Thor again. What about the good news? The good news is that there is only one bad news, but I think you will like it soon. Because I have fun and delicious here. Su Yu smiled. Can this other world go to the human world? Kong Na then asked. Strictly speaking, this is also the human world. Let's go find Thor together. Kana jumped off the bed and stretched out her hand to pull Su Yu's sleeve. Su Yu waved his hand. We are in different human worlds, but there may still be a chance for Thor to come here in the future. Really? Of course, it's just a question of probability. Su Yu replied. That's really great. After all, Kana jumped on the side of the bed again, shaking her legs while enjoying the delicious jerky. Seeing Kong Na like this, Su Yu couldn't help but smile. Is this a bag of jerky that tame a dragon lady? Strictly speaking, he can be regarded as a master of dragon training. At the same time, Su Yu opened the property panel that only he could see, and there was not much change in it. The summon value has not increased too much. Host. Su Yu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Rem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wang Yi 25%, Denisha 25%, Kong Na 20%. Summoning character inheritance. Keto Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Super Power 40%, Dragon Roll. Summoning value. 0,180,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Underfire 1849-2000 Thor, 436-2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate, 1910-2000 Observation Hockey, 1910-2000 Conquerors Hockey, 1200-2000. Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 9/12. Time is hurried, and in a blink of an eye, 2 days have passed. Kong Na and the other members blend well, a lowly, plus a cute look, everyone likes it very much. Noon. Quote. Diaresis Su Yu, Su Yu. Kong Na trot over and passed the thick stack of newspapers to Su Yu who was lying on the rocking chair. Rem asked me to give you these things. Yeah, Su Yu hummed, then reached out to take it. Kana ran back after a trot. Su Yu glanced, the one in front was the wanted order, the one about Roger, and the one on his own ship. For Rogers, Su Yu was not very interested, he directly found his wanted warrant. 1, 10, 100, 1000, 1 million, billion, 1 billion. A total of 2.5 billion, Tusk, I didn't expect a Valley of Gods incident to directly promote me so much. Su Yu said somewhat unexpectedly. Senju Hashirama, Tusk, this guy probably used the real number Senju in the Valley of the Gods, the Kings, and the bounty rose directly to 2 billion. Jiraiya 300 million, 5, 6, 7, 3 billion, Aizen lame, and Ram's bounty has not changed. It is probably because of not participating in the Valley of Gods incident this time. In addition to these, Su Yu did not see Wang Yi in the wanted order, and Denisha's, it is estimated that the marine guys have not yet got any information, so they can't issue the wanted order. Su Yu then flipped down, and soon he saw something more interesting and roared. The original Rocks pirate member, Edward Newgate established the Whitebeard pirate group. It seems that Edward's speed is still quite fast. In just a few days, he established his own pirate group. Chapter 152. While muttering to himself, Su Yu then flipped down. Marshal Marine personally took the lead and led Marine to a decisive battle with Rocks pirate. Locks was killed. Seeing this title, Su Yu couldn't help laughing. Tusk. These Marines really have a thicker skin than a chopping board, and they are just telling nonsense with their eyes open. Indeed, during the Battle of the Valley of the Gods, Marine clearly joined forces with Rocks pirate, and immediately separated from Rocks pirate after the fight. He even took all the credit for Su Yu and Roger to Marine. Tusk, this wave of operation is simply 666. However, Su Yu is not too concerned about things like this, because in his eyes, it doesn't matter at all. Marine is notoriously shameless, and Su Yu has already seen this. Anyway, it is mainly unfavorable news for them, and they distorted reality in various ways. However, let alone the method adopted by the world government, it is really useful. Basically, some ordinary villagers believe it very much. As for the other group of people, they understand everything, and the most untrustworthy is the newspaper of the world government. While meditating, Su Yu continued to flip down, and what happened below was the pirates in other parts of New World. Su Yu was not interested in their affairs. When he wanted to turn down the 640, he found that apart from some wanted orders, there was no other heavy news. It seems that the fastest move belongs to Edward, Charlotte Linlin, and Kaido hasn't had any movement yet. Su Yu muttered. After all, he put the newspaper in his hand aside, then picked up the drink on the side and took a sip. Hey, leave him alone. At the same time, a certain island. Charlotte Linlin held the newspaper in his hand and glanced around, then sneered, this fellow Edward is really impatient. Captain Locks has only been dead for a few days, and his pirate group has been established. Yes, it's a shame that Locks personally returned to meet him back then. Longbread also mocked from the side. As he said, his gaze fell on Kaido who was sitting on the rock not far away. Kaido, what are you going to do next? Or, the three of us roam together. Kaido turned around when he heard the words, glanced at the two of them, and then said lightly, you should just think about it. Although there was no conflict between Kaido and Charlotte Linlin and the long loaf on the Locks ship, now Locks is no longer there, and they have to form a pirate group together. Kaido is unwilling to do so. Don't forget, Kaido, you still owe me a favor. Charlotte Linlin exhorted. Of course, the news of the team formation just now came from Longbread. In fact, Charlotte Linlin is also unwilling to form a pirate group with Kaido. Are you afraid that I won't be able to repay the bill? I owe you this favor, one day I will return it to you. Kaido said, got up and prepared to leave. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Where are you going? Longbread asked. Kaido was silent for a while. Where I go, you don't need to care about it, so be it. When the words fell, Kaido left. Staring at Kaido's back, the Longbread sighed slightly. It's a pity, if Kaido is willing to join us, our pirate group will start much higher. To tell you, I don't think the guy using Kaido can rest assured, unless he is the captain, otherwise, except for Locks, who can make him willing to be a cadre. Charlotte Linlin said slowly. Haha, it seems to be true. In a blink of an eye, half a month has passed. After Su Yu and Roger separated, they basically sailed in the opposite direction. Because Su Yu decided to go back to the pirate island of Hachinos first, and then prepare for the second voyage. About to resist the island below the Holy Land Mary Geois. Su Yu, this time, which path shall we take? Are we going to dive 10,000 meters under the sea to reach the Fishman Island and return from the hole, or just cross the Holy Land Mary Geois as we did when we came? Lem asked screamed. I'm not used to taking other roads. Su Yu replied. Indeed, what a joke, his own ship's combat power was not heaven-defying before he came, and he dared to cross the Holy Land Mary Geois. Now that I have walked around a big circle, the strength of the ship has been greatly improved. If you dive 10,000 meters under the sea, reach the Fishman Island, and then go back through the hole, wouldn't it make the world think that the world government will not succeed? By the way, what is the food condition on our boat, do you need to add it? Su Yu continued to ask. Has been consumed more than half, by the way, you can add it, if it doesn't go by the way, we can wait. Lem whispered. If there is half, let's wait until the next island, let's add it. At the same time, on the remote surveillance tower on the island, Marine has spotted Su Yu's ship. This pirate banner, what can't be wrong, it is the Super Dimension Pirate Group, damn, why are they here? One of the Marine soldiers said solemnly. Yes, why did the guys from the Super Dimension Pirate Group come to us? The Marine soldier in the middle also had a surprised expression. How much Marine power do we have stationed on the island? The Marine soldier asked another Marine soldier. Not much. This is over, these guys can't even kill the Demon Order, so hurry up and call for support. To understanding. A few minutes later, New World, an island, Marine Hospital. Garp, you guy, are you so idle? You don't need to do any tasks anymore. Sengoku, who was lying on the bed, asked. Garp ate snacks and smiled. Don't mention it, after the guy Locks died, the whole sea instantly returned to calm. Su Yu, Roger, and some remnants of Rock's pirate. Sengoku continued to ask. I don't know, I haven't heard any of them during this time. As soon as the voice fell, the phone worm on the side rang. Billy Billy, Billy Billy. Garp put down the snacks in his hand, then reached out to connect. Hey, this is Garp. Please speak. Chapter 153. As soon as Garp's voice fell, Moses's voice came from the phone worm. Garp, where are you now? I'm at Steel Bone in the hospital where Sengoku is located. Listening to your anxious tone, could it be that something happened? Garp asked suspiciously. Huh, you are really right. If nothing happens, something big will happen soon. Moses said solemnly. Garp said cheerfully, what's the matter, the remnants of Rock's pirate have come out to make trouble. No, Roger guys, nor, is it Su Yu, correct? Moses replied, and then added, if he does trouble on other islands, I'm not so anxious yet, but. Before Moses finished speaking, Garp smiled and said, looking at how anxious you are Su Yu and the others preparing to make trouble in the Holy Land Mary Geois? How did you know? Moses asked in surprise. Hearing this, Garp was immediately stunned and took away the smile on his face. What the hell, shouldn't they actually show up in the Holy Land Mary Geois? Don't you know? I just said it casually. Quote. Yes, as you said, the super-dimensional pirate group is very likely to go to the Holy Land Mary Geois to make trouble again. However, because of the distance between you and me, Mary Geois, the holy place, we can't make it to support. Moses sighed lightly. Then what are you going to do? Let's report to the people on the Holy Land Mary Geois first. But, regardless of whether you can rush to support, Garp, you have to come quickly. Moses exhorted. Okay, I understand. Garp hung up the phone worm, picked up the snack from the side, and started eating. What's the situation on the Super Dimension Pirate Group? Sengoku asked, lying on the bed. Who knows, it has only been less than a month since it calmed down. The Super Dimension Pirates gang went to the Holy Land Mary Geois to make trouble. Garp said helplessly. Sengoku heard the words, his face became a little solemn. Suyu is challenging the bottom line of the world government again and again. If he continues like this, he will only end up like Locks. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Garp fell into deep thought and didn't say a word. After dozens of seconds, he said, don't say it, I have to go right away. A few minutes later, the Holy Land Mary Geois. Ta-ta-ta. The crisp sound of footsteps echoed throughout the corridor. The 5 men walked side by side, and everyone's expression was hard to see the extreme. I really didn't expect that the guys from the Super Dimension Pirate Group would come and die in such anxiousness. The long-bearded man said coldly. It's really unexpected. If you really don't stop it this time, Suyu's gang may actually think that the Holy Land Mary Geois can come if he wants to. There is no next time. Locks is dead, and Suyu's turn is next. After processing, we will erase Locks and Suyu's name from history as soon as possible. The middle man was cold. Said. If you say that, this matter is still a good thing. We will save us all the way to find them. The bearded man sneered. However, there is one thing we still need to pay attention to. Before they land on the Holy Land Mary Geois, we will stop them as soon as possible. Otherwise, the battle will be carried out in the Holy Land Mary Geois again. You know, the Holy Land Mary Geois can't bear this level of battle. Except for celestial dragons, Lord Yim is also in the Holy Land. The man with the long sword in his hand said at the far end. Several other men nodded at the same time. But, speaking of it, the recent situation at Marine really makes it impossible to look directly at it. Hearing this, the man with long beard suggested, forget it, there is no need to mention this kind of disgraceful thing. However, there is one thing to say that Marine's record in the recent period is really terrible. In the past, the New World pirate giants kept messing up and plundering world government franchise countries, but Marine failed again and again. Find flowers. Many participating countries even questioned the world government. At the same time, Suyu was almost close to the island. Moreover, on the shore, a large group of Marine soldiers have gathered, all of them holding long spears, and aiming at Suyu's boats. It's just that they didn't dare to mess around, because when they shot, it represented the beginning of the battle. Suyu, it seems that Marine has found us. Wu Luki stared at the front and said lightly. Do you want to go to war directly? Or what? Dinasa also asked from the side. Suyu was silent for a few seconds, and then said, they are not worth our shot yet. ... 0. As soon as the words fell, Suyu's body began to glow with a faint complexion, followed by a blue light directly covering the entire boat. In the next second, the ship flew directly. This action directly stunned the group of Marines on the shore. What's the situation? Flies up. What kind of ship is this ship? I don't see anything special at all, but it can fly. Maybe it's just some guy's devil fruit ability. Perhaps so, but, are we really going to watch them fly over our heads? Otherwise, what do you want? Don't be silly, we can't stop them at all. They are the pirate giants of New World. Once we make a move, we can basically be sure that we have only one dead end. That makes sense. They can still go up even if we take the shot. It's better to let them pass, so that our lives can be saved. Shish. Be quiet. Chapter 154. It's right, it's not good if it's heard by other people. The Marine soldier said, carefully peeping around, and seeing nothing unusual, he was relieved. Then he picked up the phone worm and reported to his officer's account. Sorry, Lieutenant General, the ship of the Super Dimension Pirates Group is flying. We can't stop it. It is estimated that it will not take long before they will reach the Holy Land Mary Geois. What? You rubbish, can't even hold them for a while. Lieutenant General Marine on the other side shouted cursingly. Although this Marine Lieutenant General also expected to be very fast before, it was just never expected that it would be so fast. It's just like sending troops to stop it, just as if it didn't send troops to stop it. I am so sorry. Hearing this, Lieutenant General Marine directly hung up the phone worm. Then he looked outside with some numbness. It is estimated that today, the Holy Land Mary Geois will become purgatory again. At the same time, on Suyu's side, progress is going smoother than expected. I didn't expect it to be so smooth. The group of Marines watched us flying up. Tornado stood on the ship fence, looking down. Actually, I think Marines' approach is quite clever. If they attack us, I guess they can think of it. It's not that simple to save their lives. Wong also leaned on the fence. Said lightly. Indeed, even if they make a move, they can't stop us at all. On the contrary, they might lose a lot of manpower. Jiraiya also said from the side. I don't even bother to pay attention to those little soldiers. Suyu stood aside and said. While talking, the ship has reached the Holy Land Mary Geois. The boat continued to rise, and the castle of Mary Geois, the holy place, was slowly gathered in Suyu's eyes. What a magnificent castle. Dinasa scanned the castle below, slightly surprised. Of course, the world's nobles live here, celestial dragons. Lem explained from the side. Celestial dragons. Kong Na heard the words, and then said to the side. Celestial dragons, like me, can become dragons. You think too much, the so-called celestial dragons is just a name, where can you become a dragon like you? Su Yu smiled, he didn't expect Kana to ask like that. Kana, celestial dragons is a super villain. Lem explained from the side. Kana blinked and looked at Lem with an incredulous expression. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Yes, you newcomers don't know, but we are very clear that in their eyes all other people are untouchables, slaves, and many unfortunate people have been arrested as slaves. Ram continued to add. Okay. It looks terrible. Kong Na swallowed hard. Sure enough, it is the place where celestial dragons live. Mary Geois, a sacred place that was damaged so badly before, now looks as if nothing happened. Su Yu sneered. While speaking, the ship flew to a certain height, and then began to stop rising, and began to move forward. Suddenly, at this time, a huge white blade of light flew directly from the ground not far in front. Dinasa quickly drew the giant sword from her back, then walked to the front of the boat, and followed it with a heavy wave. There was a brush sound. A light blade also flew out quickly. The two light blades collided quickly. Boom. Accompanied by the sound of an explosion, a strong air current began to spread in all directions. Holy Land Mary Geois ground. Everyone in Five Elders has a very ugly expression on their faces. What's the matter? Didn't we issue an order to let Marine drag the Super Dimension Pirates group? How come these people came up to the Holy Land Mary Geois so quickly? The long-bearded man said first. It's not good. If there is a war in the Holy Land Mary Geois, it will not be long before the Holy Land Mary Geois will become ruins like the Valley of the Gods. The man next to him said coldly. This is really a headache. If this time let the people of the Super Dimension Pirate Group pass through the Holy Land Mary Geois safely, then the face of our world government can be completely gone, the man in the middle said. Soundtrack. These Marines really disappoint us. Now that this is useless, try to use the smallest loss to disintegrate the Super Dimensional Pirate Group. The long-bearded man said coldly. As soon as these words fell, a blue light suddenly enveloped the sky. Five elders looked up in astonishment, and dozens of huge fireballs appeared in the sky. This action directly caused Five Elders' pupils to shrink violently, and the originally ugly face was taken to the next level. Once these 10 fireballs are not caught by a fireball, the loss to the Holy Land Mary Geois is undoubtedly very huge. These guys, the target is not the 5 of us, but the buildings of the Holy Land Mary Geois. They want to turn the Holy Land Mary Geois into ruins. Damn it, Lord Yim is here too. If we let a fireball hit the land of the Holy Land Mary Geois, Lord Yim will definitely get angry. Everyone quickly dispersed. In any case, you can't let the fireball fall on the ground. In addition, you must not let Su Yu leave here. That's right. Like Locks, his 3.6 threat to us is too big. The name of this kind of person is absolutely to be erased from history. After 5 elders determined their respective missions, they immediately began their actions. Drink. Su Yu stood on the boat, gave a soft drink, and threw dozens of fireballs directly. Then he cast his eyes down, and finally said calmly, "It's been a long time, this time's gift, do you like it?" Chapter 155. Looking at you, are we going to fight again? Senju Hashirama asked from the side. Su Yu shook his head and said faintly, "Forget it, I don't have this plan. I just pass by here without leaving anything. It's a pity." Quote. Everyone looked at Su Yu speechlessly. Suddenly at this time. Below, there was a severe explosion. The strong air current kept hitting the castle. Damn, I missed a fireball. The bearded man stared at the place that had been blown out of the pit not far away, frowning. Their attack seems to have stopped. Isn't that right? It's time for us to attack and knock down their ship. It's already a meaning. The Holy Land Mary Geois is the most sacred place in the world. It is absolutely allowed to be trampled on by anyone. As soon as the voice fell, 5 elders began to attack again. In the next second, light blades flew up. Are they here again? Denisha said, again wielding the giant sword for 12 counterattacks. Swish. One after another sword pressure flew out directly. Boom. In the sky, huge explosions sounded continuously. At the same time, a castle in the Holy Land Mary Geois. Tread, step, step. The steady footsteps sounded slowly, but soon stopped abruptly. Immediately afterwards, on the top of the castle, Im appeared. She stared into the distance. Super Dimension Pirate Group. As she said, the corners of her mouth raised slightly. Su Yu's ship is still some distance from Yim. Moreover, the direction is toward the other side of Im. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. In other words, if the main Yim does not take the initiative, Su Yu and the others will not meet her. Su Yu, you are so brave. You have challenged the bottom line of the world government again and again. I haven't started to trouble you, but you are coming to me. Yim Shinru Shisui said, her expression is really too abnormal. Su Yu appeared, it seems that she completely ignored. Moreover, I am not worried about whether 5 elders will be able to catch Su Yu, or whether Su Yu will destroy the Holy Land Mary Geois, or even the safety of any celestial dragons who live here. Yim just glanced, said a few words, then turned around and left here with a steady pace. Billy, New World, on the sea. The phone worm on the table rang. One of the marine soldiers hurried out with the phone bug. Lieutenant General Garp, Lieutenant General Garp, someone is looking for you. Garp was playing with the cannonball in his hand. Hearing this, he put the cannonball aside. Then he took the phone in the marine soldier's hand and immediately connected it. Hey, I am Moses. I know, at this point, no one will look for me except you. Garp said calmly. That's right, it's just as the topic. I just got the news that the Super Dimension Pirate Group has arrived at the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Moses said in a deep voice. Garp thought for a few seconds, then replied, it's useless if you tell me this. I can't fly. Even if I can fly, I can't make it. Where are you now? Not long after leaving the island. Quote, your speed is too slow. Moses, you don't know the Suyu gang. Actually, we rushed over and showed it to the world government. When we really rushed over, the Suyu gang had already left the Holy Land Mary Geoise. Garp explained slowly. You sure? Of course, Suyu's gang should have returned home, passing by the Holy Land Mary Geoise. At most they will blow up when passing by. In serious cases, they may randomly select a few lucky celestial dragons to kill. However, accidents are also possible. As long as someone takes action, I am afraid they will stay longer. However, the result is the same. We are too far away to make it past. Although Moses didn't like Garp's words, but if you think about it, it seems to make sense. Okay, that's it, Moses replied, and then hung up the phone worm. Garp also handed the phone worm to the marine soldier who had just brought it. The guys in the Super Dimension Pirate Group are really arrogant. They want to cross the Holy Land Mary Geoise again. Marine soldier said. In their eyes, world government is not in their eyes at all. Garp said lightly. Seriously, if you want to compare the Super Dimension Pirates with Rock's pirate, Garp bothers the Super Dimension Pirates more. Others Locks messed up. At most they would plunder the countries of world government, but what about Suyu? Go directly to the headquarters of the world government to make trouble. Whoever put it on, who is special will be blown up. For some reason, Garp had a thought in 650 at this time. If he had a choice, he hoped that Suyu would be killed in the Valley of the Gods, not Locks. Sooner or later, they will be sanctioned by the world government. The marine soldier continued. Garp was taken aback for a moment, and then whispered, sooner or later, will they be sanctioned by the world government? Yes, it's just a matter of time. For example, Locks kept saying that he would dominate the world, but in the end it was not his goal that he fell without achieving his goal. Indeed, the current era of pirates is unpredictable. Maybe a newcomer like Suyu will rise tomorrow, and finally the newcomer will grow to a strong point, and then Suyu's fate will fall straight down like Locks. The marine soldier just wanted to say something. Garp said impatiently, come on, why should I go? Don't disturb me. Yes, Lieutenant General Garp. Chapter 156. Holy Land Mary Geoise. The collision between five elders and Suyu has become more intense, but there is no melee combat yet, and they are all long-range consumption. However, if at this speed, Suyu can traverse the Holy Land Mary Geoise in less than 5 minutes to reach the first half of the Grand Line. However, even the five elders were all out in person, and Suyu and the others were destined to not go so smoothly. Damn it, which B***ch is it that came to the Holy Land Mary Geoise to make trouble? A certain celestial dragons looked at his castle destroyed by the impact, and his anger rose to the extreme. And the man behind him in a black suit who belonged to the world government hurriedly explained, the great Lord Rozkati, please calm down your anger. It is the pirate giant who came to attack the Holy Land Mary Geoise this time. Dimensional Pirate Group. Super Dimension Pirate Group. Sage Rozkati glared slightly, then shook his head and said, I haven't heard of it, just a bunch of pirate clowns. Quote. The man in the black suit frowned. It was normal for Rozkarti-san to have never heard of it. After all, their celestial dragons were generally responsible for enjoyment, and were not interested in anything that happened in the world. They are not pirates and clowns. They are great pirates with great strength, the great Rozkati saint. Let's get out of here and hide in a safe place so as not to be affected. The man in the black suit exhorted. Sage Rozkarti heard the words, but revealed a look of impatience, and said viciously, don't they know that the Holy Land Mary Geoise lives in the world noble celestial dragons? They must know. Then they dare to be so presumptuous. Rozkati saint asked. Hearing this, the man in the black suit fell into a silence. What a joke. This set of the world government is useful for ordinary people, but for these pirate giants lunatics, it has no effect at all. Who cares if you are a nobleman in the world? Who cares if you are celestial dragons? Great Lord Rozkati, I don't know if you remember the pirate who crossed the Holy Land Mary Geoise for the first time. The man in the black suit asked. Saint Rozkarti nodded. Of course I remember that those untouchables destroyed part of the Holy Land Mary Geoise. It is said that the gang of waste marines has not caught anyone yet. Great Lord Rozkati, this time, it's the same one before. The man in the black suit said lightly. As soon as these words came out, the expression of Saint Rozkarti changed slightly. What? This time, it's those lunatics again. Saint Rozkarti said in astonishment. Yes, they are the guys who crossed the Holy Land Mary Geoise before. According to the preliminary guess of the world government, their captain may be a member of the D family. The man in the black suit continued. Clan D. Upon hearing this, Saint Rozkarti had a look of fear on his face. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. However, there is a reason why they are afraid of members of the D family. When they were very young, their elders often frighten some naughty children. If they are disobedient, D will be abducted. Overall, in fact, some of the celestial dragons at present are only afraid of the D family, and they don't know what they are afraid of. D is like a shadow, engraved in their minds. Yes, but it hasn't been determined for the time being, it's just a guess of the world government. The man in the black suit continued. At this moment, Roscardy's attitude changed a lot. Indeed, he was scared. Although the number of people in the D clan is very small, it is strange that every member of the D clan living in the world is a powerful person. It is a race that the whole world dares not to look down upon, and it is called a god. Natural enemy. In this world, there are only celestial dragons who call themselves gods. Okay, well, let's go to a safe place to talk first. Roscardy-san whispered. Please follow me. The voice of the man in the black suit just fell, and suddenly at this moment, the surroundings were instantly refracted by blue light. Saint Roscardy and the man in the black suit frowned and quickly raised their heads. Immediately afterwards, their pupils shrank violently, reflecting a huge fireball. Help me, Roscardy Saint yelled. The man in the black suit quickly rushed over, and then a huge blue fireball fell. Quote. Diaresis boom. The fireball exploded around in an instant. The previous celestial dragons, without a doubt, turned to ashes on the spot. 5 elders stared at the direction of the explosion, frowning involuntarily. Damn it, missed another fireball. Call. One of them sighed heavily, and then said, it won't work like this, we must take the initiative, otherwise, the Holy Land Mary Geois will still do the same. That's right, I can only take the initiative to attack. The bearded man said solemnly. On Su Yu's boat, everyone held on to the railing of the boat and stared down. Are most of the fireballs received? Wang Li's seems to have very strong people underneath. Senju Hashirama said lightly. Su Yu was taken aback for a moment. Thoughtfully, he actually guessed that it was 5 elders. Just when Su Yu wanted something, the king on the side also said. It seems that several people stepped on their left and right feet and rushed up. Left foot stepping on the right foot. When everyone heard the words, their eyes continued to look down, and as expected, 5 people rushed up frantically. Chapter 157. It's just that they didn't step on the right foot to the sky as Wang Yi said, but they were using moonwalk. These people, I can feel it, it's not easy. Senju Hashirama said from the side. I also noticed that these people are completely different from the Marines we met on the shore. Jiraiya added. These guys are 5 elders. Su Yu stared at the 5 elders who were running. 5 elders. What is that? Dinasa blinked and looked at Su Yu suspiciously. 5 elders is just a name, all 5 are male elders, the highest leader of the world government. The pillar of the world government is higher than the commander-in-chief of the world government. Lame explained to the side. Speaking of externally, Yim seems to be the master behind the scenes and made mistakes. Anyway, the author remembers this. Their strength is probably stronger than the marine we met. Ram said slowly. Oh, it seems that it is impossible for us to leave the Holy Land Mary Geois so smoothly today. Su Yu smiled bitterly. It can't be avoided, then go to war, the people below shouldn't survive in this world. Dinasa said coldly. Yes, just now, after she heard Lem explain to her the deeds of celestial dragons, she had a very disgusting thought for celestial dragons in her heart. The battle is unavoidable, let me arrange it. The ship will be controlled by the tornado and pass through the Holy Land Mary Geois. As for Aizen and I, after the break, after all, both of us can fly, and the others stay on the boat. After you leave, we will catch up with you quickly. Su Yu said slowly. Don't we need to join the fight? Dinasa asked. Su Yu shook his head, he had no plans to fight. Perhaps, if he is not a traverser, maybe this time the battle will start. However, he is a traverser. He knows that besides 5 elders, there is also a terrifying figure. Yes, she is Yim. This time, he proceeded cautiously, observed and made decisions, after all, his boat was still here. Okay, Denisha nodded. Then you two pay attention to safety. Lem asked. Su Yu nodded. At the same time, the 5 figures also landed on the ship, yes, they were the 5 elders. Before Su Yu could speak, one of the bearded men from 5 elders said, Su Yu, I didn't expect that we will meet again so soon. You are. Oh, I remember, you are the one who dulled me with Mary Geois for the first time when I logged into the Holy Land. Su Yu said, the corners of his mouth raised slightly, and he sneered. It seems that you still remember. The bearded man also laughed. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Your potential is great. It's a pity. I think you are going in the wrong direction. You should never be an enemy of our world government. A man next to the bearded man said. Yes, people like you should have been treated well, but unfortunately you have gone the wrong way. The man on the side added. Ha ha ha. You guys are so funny. Su Yu listened to them and couldn't help but laughed, and then said. Why, the wrong way or the right way, you world does the government have the final say? You are a little arrogant. What's wrong? Can I pull a little bit on my own boat? Su Yu asked. The sky above this belongs to our world government. As soon as the voice fell, Aizen said from the side. Don't talk nonsense with them, finish it soon, finish it soon. All right, Su Yu responded, and then continued to say to 5 elders. Sorry, my ship, world government guys are not welcome. While speaking, Su Yu started to launch his own conqueror's hockey, and suddenly a force of pressure came to the 5 elders. To be honest, they were all a little surprised when they suddenly met such a strong Conqueror's Haki. This guy, yes, Conqueror's Haki is so strong. It's so surprising, and it can cause physical damage. The bearded man also nodded in agreement, and he was wondering why the world conscription could not enlist a guy like Su Yu. If you can recruit a guy like Su Yu, there won't be so many things. It's a pity, the pirates who have unlimited potential are basically pirates. Aizen suddenly appeared in front of 5 elders and said coldly, "My captain said, the guys who don't like the world government are standing here." Arrogant. One of the men scolded. Of course, Su Yu can be mad, and 5 elders can also bear it, but Su Yu's crew is still so arrogant, this point, they really can't stand it. However, what they never expected was that they had a hard time this time. Facing the word arrogant, Aizen's mouth rose slightly. The next second, with a bang, 5 elders flew upside down. They were stunned, and never dreamed that the members of Su Yu's boat should have such terrifying abilities. In the blink of an eye, they flew directly out of the ship, while Su Yu and Aizen left the ship and floated above. 5 elders quickly adjusted their posture and stopped using moonwalk. After seeing Su Yu and Aizen both fly, 5 elders became more confused. It's really an accident. Su Yu, did you find something? How many people on your boat can fly? The bearded man said in a deep voice. And this one, if I remember correctly, you should be called Aizen, you are really powerful. Another man said. You don't need to take action. I haven't moved my body for a long time, let me come. Aizen said lightly. Hearing this, Su Yu was slightly startled. Can you? One solution to 5. I think it shouldn't be difficult. Aizen believes. Okay then. Su Yu readily agreed, because he now has a better idea, which is to go down and grab the treasure of celestial dragons. After all, the treasure of celestial dragons is very attractive. You guy, it seems that you don't really see us in your eyes. The bearded man said coldly. Aizen smiled gently. I'm sorry, I really haven't put you in my eyes. Chapter 158. 5 elders listened to Aizen's words, his face was ugly, if it hadn't been for the ability of Aizen already. Now, I am afraid that there is no worries about the shot. You fellow, you know, you are too defiant, but you will suffer a lot. The bearded man reminded. There are really a lot of young and energetic people like you, planted in the hands of our world government. The man standing to the right of the bearded man said slowly. Although I have learned Aizen's strength just now, I have a certain understanding of his strength. However, 5 elders didn't feel that their 5 teamed up and couldn't deal with a young and energetic guy. No one in the eyes suffers a big loss. Tisk tisk tisk, this is only used to describe the weak. After saying this, Aizen leaked a weird smile and continued. In these hours, I have basically understood the world. To tell the truth, the only person who can sanction me is Su Yu. As for you, the world government is just a clown. As soon as these words came out, 5 elders' anger broke out completely. You guy, armament Haki was directly covered on the hands of one of the men. You guy, don't be too arrogant. After all, he rushed directly at Aizen, and then punched out. When Aizen saw this scene, there were not too many extra moves, and he also punched. Boom. The two fists collided, and the two of them seemed to be frozen. In the next second, a powerful airflow spread out in all directions centering on the two of them. Zitsa. Black light gleamed around them. Drink. The bearded man shouted angrily, increasing the impact of his own strength. However, even so, Aizen remained motionless. Seeing this, the bearded man's complexion became stiff involuntarily, and sweat squeezed out of his forehead. Aizen's mouth rose slightly, revealing a smile, but it was this smile that directly made the bearded man's back chill. Is that just enough strength? Don't be too smug. The bearded man's free fist also followed. Clap. A loud noise sounded. This time, Aizen didn't fist with him, but grabbed the bearded man's fist with one hand. Then he directly applied force and threw it down toward the ground from the air. Shoo. Bang. Thick smoke suddenly splashed from below. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The remaining 4 men glanced at the smoke below, and then quickly set their eyes on Aizen's body. Yes, at this moment, they have already begun to realize that things seem to have exceeded their expectations. After seeing this scene, Su Yu behind Aizen felt that his worries were a bit redundant. Then he slowly descended, ready to do his own thing. Su Yu, don't run. When the words fell, one of the men rushed over. It turned out that Aizen instantly blocked his way. Did you forget? It's me you are going to deal with, understand? Aizen said calmly. Then start with you. When these words came out, the 4 men began to besiege Aizen. As for Su Yu, he has already fallen to the ground and started looking for treasure. However, some were unlucky and went to several castles in a row, not to mention the treasure, not even a single person saw it. I'm going, what the hell, are the celestial dragons here cold? Why haven't you seen any of them? Su Yu murmured. Immediately he used his own superpowers to fly up, and continued to search for the target. After a while, Su Yu didn't see neither celestial dragons, but saw a prison that held slaves. Dang dang dang. Su Yu knocked heavily on the iron door a few times, and then asked, is anyone there? After the voice fell, there was no answer inside. No one there. Su Yu pondered for a few seconds, then covered armament Haki with his fist, followed by a punch. Boom. A sound. The entire iron door exploded directly, and thick smoke came out of it. Su Yu just wanted to walk in, and a loud voice came out directly from inside. Find flowers. Who is it impatient to dare to trespass into the place where celestial dragons are holding slaves? That's really sorry. I thought there was no one. If you should have heard it long ago, I wouldn't have broken the door. Su Yu smiled and said. Ta-ta-ta. The heavy footsteps sounded slowly, and a few seconds later, a fat man holding a huge mace appeared beside Su Yu. The fat man glanced at Su Yu contemptuously. The iron gate was broken by you, brat. Su Yu did not answer his question, but instead asked. Do you know where the treasure of celestial dragons is? When the fat man heard the words, he was immediately happy, as if he heard a big joke. Dot 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 dot. You guy, do you know what you're talking about? With that said, he directly raised the huge mace in his hand and was about to attack Su Yu. Brush. Immediately, Conqueror's Haki was released directly from Su Yu. The fat man holding a mace turned his eyes white, and then fell directly to the ground. If you don't know, say you don't know, a waste of time. Su Yu kicked him directly and walked in quickly. His thought was that maybe some slaves knew where the treasure of celestial dragons was. Of course, if not, he will leave quickly. After passing the dim passage, Su Yu came to the inside of the slave prison. The surrounding tiles were very wet and covered with bloodline. There is a pungent bloody smell, which makes Su Yu a little uncomfortable. Now, in front of him, there are 4 passages, and each passage has hundreds of small black houses, and in the small black houses, the slaves of celestial dragons are imprisoned. Are there any alive? Su Yu shouted. Chapter 159. Su Yu's voice echoed in these passages. After a few seconds, there was still no movement. Su Yu was slightly surprised by this involuntarily. Could it be that there are no slaves in it? Su Yu murmured. He walked to the nearest small black room and cast his eyes into it. In the corner of the small black room, Su Yu saw 2 women without clothes. Both hands and hands, including the neck, were covered with a collar, and the collar was connected by a thick iron chain. Although it was a bit dim here, the faint light still made Su Yu see their bruised bodies. The 2 of them were shrinking in the corner, motionless, trembling all over. Is this the price of the week? Really cruel, Su Yu murmured, then continued to shout. I need a place to know where celestial dragons store treasures. As long as I tell me, I can take him away from the Holy Land Mary Geois. As soon as he said this, Su Yu clearly heard the restlessness in the small black room. In the next second, almost all the slaves walked to the iron gate, wanting to see who said it. However, it may be because of fear or disbelief of Su Yu's words. They looked at Su Yu with their godless eyes and did not speak. Is there no one? Goodbye. After Su Yu left a word, she just wanted to turn around and leave. I know. A faint voice came from the iron gate not far away, and after that, 2 small hands waved through the iron gate. Su Yu glanced, then a faint blue light radiated from his body, and then floated to the small black room. It was a little boy who was talking just now, and beside him, there was a little girl who seemed to be probably only in their early 12 years old. Speaking of which, Su Yu was quite puzzled. What did celestial dragons want these kids to do? As he was thinking, suddenly a thought flashed through his mind. Could it be? Tisk, it's really abnormal. Su Yu said inwardly. What you said, are you true? As long as I tell you where the treasure of celestial dragons is, you can take me away from the Holy Land Mary Geois. The little boy said. Of course, Su Yu smiled. But I am curious, how did you know? I was taken away by him as a pet before. Once, he happened to go to the vault to collect treasures and to buy new slaves in the Chambord Islands. The little boy whispered. Okay, just you, if you lie to me, I will kill you on the spot. Su Yu said, reminding him that he doesn't have much time. Don't worry, I will never lie to you. But, can I bring my sister with me? The little boy continued to ask. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Su Yu glanced at the little girl on the side and nodded gently. In the next second, Su Yu pulled the iron gate out, and this action directly scared the 2 of them. However, when they slowed down, the light in their hearts ignited. Yes, they saw a life-saving straw. Immediately afterwards, Su Yu removed the chains and collars on their bodies. Then he used his superpowers to get the 2 of them up and follow him. Seeing this scene, other small black rooms exploded in an instant. At first they thought it was a fake, but now they knew it was true. They shouted desperately. I also know, please, take me out of here. Look at me, I also know, and I know a lot. I knelt down for you. As long as you bring me out of here, I hope you will serve you for the rest of my life. Hearing the shouts of other small black houses, the little boy was afraid that Su Yu would change his mind, so he immediately added, I know a lot too. I know too. The little girl who had been silent before also said. Show the way. With the 2 of them leading the way, as expected, Su Yu didn't take much effort and found it straight away. However, this vault was guarded by a large group of guards. However, as far as Su Yu is concerned, it is the same whether there are guards and guards. A conqueror's Haki can be solved directly without any action. After the settlement was over, Su Yu successfully broke into the vault. Don't say it, you deserve to be the celestial dragons of the world's nobility, the vault is full. Su Yu didn't waste time, and quickly stretched out his hand and began to exchange the summon value. Exchange. Ding dong, congratulations on the successful exchange of host, and got 10 summon value. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for successfully redeeming and gaining 33 summoning points. Ding dong, Congratulations on the successful exchange of host, and got 100 summon value. Ding dong, congratulations on the successful exchange of host, and got 50 summon value. In about a minute or two, the entire vault was empty. Tisk tisk tisk. These celestial dragons are really rich and rich. Su Yu muttered, then opened his attribute panel, wanting to see how bad the summoning value is. Host. Su Yu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Rem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wang Yi 25%, Denisha 25%, Kong Na 20%. Summoning character inheritance. Keto Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Superpower 40%, Dragon Roll. Summoning value. 150,000 180,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Under Fire 1900 2000 Thor 1036 2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate 1998 2000 Observation Hockey 1990 2000 Conquerors Hockey 1200 thirds .62000. Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 9/12. Taking a glance at his summon value, Su Yu was still quite satisfied. When his gaze continued to look down, Su Yu's heart was a little excited. The running in degree of Armament Hockey and Observation Hockey is about to reach 2000. Su Yu thought to himself. Chapter 160. He is now looking forward to how Armament Hockey and Observation Hockey can break through. The summon value is still less than 30,000 points to make up 180,000. That way, it will be enough to summon a new character. Su Yu whispered. He can now take advantage of this opportunity to rob the Celestial Dragon's treasure to his heart's content. I'm afraid there will be no chance after leaving here. However, Su Yu is still a little worried about Yim hiding in the Holy Land Mary Geois. After all, the main reason is that there is too little disclosure about her in the original book, but Su Yu can guess that she can be the master of celestial dragons. Her strength is definitely not simple. It may far exceed 5 elders and the like. Moreover, Su Yu guessed that if you look at this world framework, you might only be able to compete with her if you get the 3 ancient weapons. How did those treasures disappear out of thin air? The little boy standing behind Su Yu frowned and said in amazement. I ate. Su Yu got up and turned his head. Upon hearing this, both the little boy and the little girl stepped back subconsciously. It is estimated that Su Yu will eat them. Seeing their horrified expressions, Su Yu sighed softly and said lightly, okay, lead the way, go to the next place. Guru. The 2 children swallowed almost simultaneously. Don't hurry up, be careful I eat you too in one bite. Su Yu scared. Frightened the 2 of them, they ran out straight away, but the next moment, the 2 of them floated. Of course, it was Su Yu who made the 2 of them float up and let them walk, so much time would have to be wasted. On the way, not far away, the explosion sounded continuously. You are definitely not an ordinary person. The little boy who led the way suddenly asked. Do you know it again? This is the Holy Land Mary Geois, but it is the site of the celestial dragons, the world noblemen. Not only did you break into the prison, but you also snatched the treasure of celestial dragons. You must be very strong. The little boy said decisively. Su Yu grinned and did not answer. Seeing Su Yu smile, the little boy's heart was enveloped in a layer of sadness. He wanted to hear his own strong words from Su Yu in person, so that he could feel relieved. But it never occurred to him that Su Yu didn't play the cards according to the routine at all. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Next, he didn't talk nonsense, and seriously led Su Yu. After about 2 minutes, they stopped in a corridor. Yes, they ran into a celestial dragons, and behind the celestial dragons were nearly 20 guards who carried them. Needless to say, celestial dragons is clutching 2 chains, each of which is tied to a slave. When the 2 people met, whether it was celestial dragons or Su Yu, they were obviously a little surprised. The celestial dragon stared blankly for a few seconds, then returned to his senses and smiled and said, the 3 untouchables can fly, what kind of race are they? The guard on the side glanced at Su Yu, and then said lightly, no. I don't know. Forget it, no matter what race it is, it doesn't matter. What's important is that I just want to change slaves. I want the 3 of them to be slaves to me. Celestial dragons laughed wryly. This smile made the little boy and the little girl not far away tremble involuntarily. It seems that celestial dragons' laughter has become their nightmare and will never go away. The 2 of them looked back at Su Yu in fear, and Su Yu at this time was still the same as before, with a calm look. After receiving the order of celestial dragons, the group of guards behind celestial dragons quickly came in front of the little boy and the little girl. This action directly scared the little boy and the little girl into the void, but it was a pity that they didn't take a single step for a long time. Because it is Su Yu who controls the flight. No way, the last 2 pairs of bloodshot eyes turned towards Su Yu to signal for help. Su Yu relieved his superpowers, and the 2 children ran behind Su Yu immediately. Immediately afterwards, Conqueror's Hockey was released directly, and all the guards fell to the ground in an instant. Only the celestial dragons stood with a dazed expression. F.A. What happened? Celestial dragons murmured in fear, and then quickly took out a spear from his waist early and pointed it at Su Yu. While threatening, I am the nobleman of the world. Celestial dragons. Huh. Su Yu came in front of celestial dragons in an instant, reached out and grabbed his spear, then moved it straight away. This thing can't kill me. Come, give you a chance for revenge, but you only have 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, let's continue on the road. Su Yu faintly together, and then directly kicked him to the ground. After dealing with these things, Su Yu stood on the other side, and the two children still stayed there stupidly. 1.5 minutes left. Su Yu reminded. The two hesitated again for a few seconds, and finally, they rushed over like a beast, punching their tender fists one after another. 653. And Su Yu was watching quietly from the side. Untouchables, untouchables, I will kill you. I am the descendant of the creator. Even though celestial dragons begged, the two children still had no intention of stopping. Moreover, the last point is that they seem to know that their strength is low, and they hit directly at the place where the male is weak. Since he was kicked by Su Yu just now, many bones have been broken, so celestial dragons couldn't resist. Soon, 2 minutes have passed. Stop it, it's time. Su Yu said without changing his face. When the two heard the words, they listened very much to Su Yu's words, and immediately stopped and walked to Su Yu's side. And celestial dragons are standing and wailing. Su Yu slowly stretched out a finger, and the next second, a blue flame burned instantly, and then with a flick of his hand, the flame instantly fell on celestial dragons. Chapter 161. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Wow, a sound. The blue flame instantly swallowed celestial dragons, and within a short while, celestial dragons became immobile. Su Yu glanced icily, then closed it back, and said, okay, continue to lead the way. The two children nodded. Since the incident, they have completely trusted Su Yu. Moreover, they believe that Su Yu is the only man who can save them from the Holy Land Mary Geois. Okay, it's not far from here, just a few steps away. The eldest brother doesn't need to waste energy to make the two of us float up. The little boy said, and ran hurriedly. The little girl behind quickly followed. As for Su Yu, he floated and followed. Chambord Islands. Su Yu's ship landed on the shore. However, none of them disembarked, but surrounded the ship's fence, quietly waiting for Su Yu and Aizen to return. By the way, Su Yu and Aizen, can the two of them find us? I remember Rem said before that there are people who can communicate. It seems to be called phone bugs. Do they have them on them? Wang Yi suddenly said. Rem shook his head, with a worried expression on his face. There is only one phone worm on our ship, but this phone worm was sent by Roger. Apart from talking to Roger, I haven't used it at any other time. Flap. Senju Hashirama had a smile on his face. He patted Wang Yi on the shoulder and chuckled. Don't worry, they both can fly, and the tornadoes here can also fly. Although this island is big, I want to find us. It's not difficult. Compared with this, I am more worried about their completeness. I don't know if they can get it done smoothly. Moreover, I think the 5 men are very difficult. Dinasa slowly said. I am also worried that they might not be able to handle it, or, let me go and see. Kong Na also said. Although Kong Na did not come from the fighting fan, her strength is also very tyrannical, and, if she can fly, Kong Na is also considered one. After hearing the words, everyone was silent for a few seconds. You two don't worry. Seriously, none of you on the boat can worry about it, but Su Yu and Aizen don't need to worry at all. Senju Hashirama believes. Of course, Senju Hashirama trusts Su Yu and Aizen's strength very much. Yes, you guys are worried that I think it's too much. Jiraiya said calmly. After listening to them, Denisha and Kana breathed a sigh of relief. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Holy Land Mary Geois. Boom, boom. The castles fell one after another. At first, 5 elders wanted to use a few people to deal with Su Yu. However, what makes them desperate is that Aizen's strength is too strong, let alone take out a few people to deal with Su Yu. Even the 5 people are still at a disadvantage. This directly made 5 elders' brains buzzing. 5 elders launched rounds of fierce attacks on Aizen. But there is no effect at all. The battle hit the ground, hit the air, and then hit the ground from midair. The area affected by the Holy Land Mary Geois also expanded rapidly. At this rate, within half an hour, the area of damage would be far greater than the damage caused by Su Yu when they first crossed the Holy Land Mary Geois. Shoo! Bang! The 2 men fell directly to the ground one after the other, and a thick plume of smoke rose up like spring water. Puff! One of the men vomited blood and covered his chest. At this time, beside him, a voice sounded. Are you okay? The man stretched out his hand and wiped the blood splashed on the edge of his mouth, and then replied in a deep voice, I can't die. I have to say, this guy really surprised us. I thought that 2 people were more than enough to deal with him, but who would have thought that the 5 of us would still have a disadvantage when we join forces? The man said with a solemn expression. Yeah, it was indeed beyond our expectations. What kind of monster is this guy? He has such a terrifying power. Another man gritted his teeth and his eyes flashed. Unstoppable anger. Also, what kind of situation is the most uncomfortable? Undoubtedly, you can't get used to his appearance, but you can't get rid of him. Quote. Diaresis, is he also a member of the D family? Do you know his more accurate information? The man continued to ask. The other one shook his head and said in a deep voice. I don't know, Marine only knows his name Aizen. As for the full name, I don't know whether it is a member of the D family. As soon as the voice fell, the man added. Hey, at this point, I remembered one thing. It seems that the people on Suyu's boat, the amount of information we have, are unusually small, and even when they did not appear on Suyu's boat, there was no outside world. There is news about us at any point. Another man just wanted to answer. Shoo. The bearded man also fell down. Boom. A large cloud of smoke spread again. Ahem. You two are still chatting here, Wang Li Jiao, things are getting worse and worse. This guy is an extremely terrifying monster. At present, we must report to Master Yim immediately. In fact, just now, I also had such an idea. A super-dimensional pirate group alone can sufficiently pose an extremely large threat to the world government. As soon as the voice fell, the other two were silent for a few seconds. Finally, they decided to let the injured person go and report the news to Yim. Chapter 162. As for Su Yu, the progress of the journey is very smooth. However, luck is not good, because the treasure in the second vault is only lost. After all of them were exchanged, the summon value was increased by 10,000 points. It was still 20,000 points away from the summoning of a new character. Staring at the empty vault, Su Yu groped his chin, pondering, no, maybe celestial dragons will be poor. Tisk tusk, it should be like this, it can't be wrong. After a while, Su Yu said, well, continue to the next place. At the same time, the situation on Aizen's side was also very smooth. Before 5 elders gathered together, they couldn't beat Aizen, not to mention one less now. No, you have this strength, do you want to defeat me? Aizen stared at the 4 of them with cold eyes, like Shisui. The 4 men stared at Aizen stubbornly, and their spirits were so tense. They didn't dare to blink. In the blink of an eye, maybe Aizen appeared in front of him. Facing what Aizen said, they didn't dare to cheer as they did at the beginning. FK. Aizen patted the dust on his body, and continued to speak. That's the case for the top leader of the world government. 657 inches. That's it. Aizen's arrogant tone caused the 4 men to blow up their hair. I advise you, don't be too arrogant. Aizen looked at the man who was talking, and said calmly, is that called arrogance? It's also, the weak, you can only say that. The expressions on the faces of the 4 men became even more weird when these words were said. Su Yu has already arrived at another vault. Started to exchange it. Host. Su Yu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Rem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wang Yi 25%, Denisha 25%, Kong Na 20%. Summoning character inheritance. Kido Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Super Power 40%, Dragon Roll. Summoning value. 180,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Underfire, 1900 2000 Thor 1036 2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate, 1998 2000 Observation Hockey, 1990 2000 Conquerors Hockey, 1200 2000 Read more at hotmtl novel.zi. Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 9/12. Finally full. Su Yu nodded in satisfaction, then closed the property panel in front of him. Immediately afterwards, he looked at the vault where there was still a little treasure left. Give you the rest. Su Yu suddenly spoke to the 2 children behind him. What? Hearing that, the 2 children were taken aback for a moment, and then went on saying, really, really. It's a reward for showing you the way, these treasures left the Holy Land Mary Geois, you must need them. Su Yu said slowly. The little boy suddenly wrinkled his face, tears streaming out and said, really. Thank you so much, your kindness, we will never forget it forever. Stop talking nonsense, quickly clean up, it's time for us to leave. Leave, don't we continue to the next vault? The little boy asked. Yes, Su Yu does not intend to continue to the next vault of celestial dragons, staying in the Holy Land Mary Geois for 1 second, there may be a kind of uncertainty. And, not only for this reason, celestial dragon's vault is very fat, but not much in the other 2. So, Su Yu didn't bother to look for it. In case he followed these 2, at least he would have to run a dozen or so. Of course, before doing this, you still need to summon before you can continue to redeem, otherwise, the system will eat it all. No need. Su Yu answered briefly. Well, undoubtedly, this news is extremely exciting news for the 2 of them, because they can finally leave this place that is heaven for ordinary people but hell for slaves. Staying here for an extra second, they will be anxious for an extra second. Finally, Su Yu used superpowers to make the 2 of them float up and follow them closely. After a while, they arrived at the battlefield where Aizen was. Aizen, what's the situation on your side? Su Yu floated not far away and shouted. Aizen heard Su Yu's voice and slowly let go of the neck in his hand, and with a bang, one of the men fell directly to the ground. There is nothing very unusual on my side, did we leave at that point? Aizen asked rhetorically. Okay. As soon as the voice fell, Aizen flew directly to Su Yu. Seeing that there is no chase behind Aizen, Su Yu has guessed something. Are they new members? Aizen glanced at both of them. Su Yu shook his head. No, it's just the guy who helped a little, gave them a favor, and took them away from the Holy Land Mary Geois. Aizen nodded, said nothing, and then started flying away. We should go too, Su Yu murmured and left quickly. About 5 minutes or so. Ta-ta-ta. The heavy footsteps passed through the thin smoke and dust, and soon the last tall figure stopped. She glanced sharply, glanced at the 4 men lying around. Check it again. Aizen said coldly. Yes, Lord Yim. When the words were over, the man behind Yim quickly checked, and then returned to Yim's side. Sacrifice 2 people. Aizen didn't answer, and glanced again at the surrounding castle that had become ruined. Chapter 163. Secure Asset Portal. Your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Finally, cold eyes were cast on the standing man. The surprise you gave me is even bigger. 5 cadres from a pirate group have been killed together. This surprise really surprised me. Although Yim's voice was very soft, it was strong and powerful, and the man couldn't help but tremble with a cold back. Flutter. He knelt directly on one knee. Sorry, Lord we have let you down. Yim took his gaze back from him, then turned his back to him, and slowly said, it seems that the members of the ultra-dimensional pirates are more troublesome than Rock's pirate. The man looked at Yim's back and asked aloud, Master Yim, what plans do you have next? They shouldn't go far yet. If we want to chase, we should be able to catch up. No need, deal with them, I still have a killer. Next, you can take care of the rest of the matter. Yim exhorted. I see, Lord Yim. The man nodded. Yim was not making a sound, and she stepped away. After a while, her figure disappeared in the thin smoke and dust. After about a few minutes, the guards arrived and sent the 2 seriously injured men for treatment, while the 2 who had died put them together. The man sat beside them, his back leaning on the broken castle slab. I came back late, and I never thought that it would be the result today. Don't worry, I believe that the Super Dimension Pirate Group, he will definitely pay the price in the future. Indeed, this result really makes many people not expect that the 5 leaders with the highest authority in the world government, collectively known as 5 elders, will become the 3 elder stars from now on. After half an hour, New World, a certain sea area. Dozens of marine battleships are advancing rapidly. Garp lay on the chair, holding the phone worm in his hand, and said carelessly, Moses, don't keep urging, haven't I told you? I really can't make it in time. 10 seconds after Garp's voice fell, Moses said, don't worry, I'm not here to rush you this time. Listening to Moses's tone, Garp seemed to have noticed something and asked, listen to your tone, what happened in the middle? The 5 leaders of the highest authority in the world government fought in the Holy Land Mary Geois, and 2 were killed. Moses said in a low voice. As soon as he said this, Garp stood up suddenly, his eyes gleaming in disbelief. What about the situation on the super-dimensional side? There was no loss, and on the world government side, not only the 2 owners of the highest authority in the world government were killed in battle, but the damage to the Holy Land Mary Geois was even more severe than the first time. Moses said in a deep voice. It seems, this time things are far beyond our expectations. Garp sighed heavily. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Oh, I'm just a new marine, why should I temporarily act as an agent for Gangukong? I think Garp is more suitable for you. Come on, your current position is higher than mine. You don't act, who acts? Garp retorted. You come here less, I finally know why you refused to promote you to Marine Admiral over and over again, because you have more rights and less freedom. Moses said lightly. Ha 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 ha. Listening to Garp's laughter, Moses was even more uncomfortable. Just now, he received the latest task, which was the panic of Mary Geois, a holy land, deceiving some unsuspecting marine. Tisk tusk, it is worthy of being the world government. Every day, it deceives the franchise. People who are already outside are ruthless and even their own people are deceived. But also, the world government did this because it was naturally afraid that the marine soldiers would suffer multiple blows and thus lose their morale. Stop talking, I'm very busy, I won't rush you, let's talk about it in a mask. Moses just wanted to hang up the phone bug, when he remembered something and continued to speak. By the way, I almost forgot. Don't tell other people, even your own, what I told you about the truth. Moses exhorted. Got it, Garp replied. Su Yu sighed. Taking the 2 children to the Chambord Islands, Su Yu left the 2 of them to fend for themselves. After all, Su Yu is not a great saint, and Mary Geois is already very good to help him escape from the Holy Land. Find flowers. Of course, the 2 children also know how to be grateful. When Su Yu left, they kowtowed desperately to thank them. All in all, it is their own advantages. Su Yu is to summon value, they are to escape from the Holy Land Mary Geois. After the meeting, Su Yu and the others did not stay in the Chambord Islands, but set off immediately. Of course, this time, there was no marine chasing behind. You 2 are not injured. Lem stepped forward, looked at Su Yu and Aizen, and asked aloud. Su Yu smiled. I didn't, I was paddling the whole time, Aizen was playing, but I looked at him, it should be fine. Hearing Su Yu's words, everyone was also relieved. Great, you are all fine. How strong are those guys? Senju Hashirama asked Aizen curiously. Aizen was silent for a few seconds after hearing the words, and then said, it's still eye-catching, not as strong as previously thought. Really, I really want to fight against them. Senju Hashirama laughed. Actually, it doesn't mean much. Aizen exhorted. After a while, Su Yu suddenly said, it made me sweat all over it, I'll take a shower first. I'll get your clothes ready. No, I can do this little thing myself. After all, Su Yu walked into the ship in diameter. However, instead of taking a bath first, he planned to summon a new character before going to the bath. After arriving in the training room and making all preparations, Suyu said, "Start calling. Ding dong, calling. Summon success." Chapter 164. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Congratulations to host for getting Uchiha Madara from the Naruto world. As usual, when the sound of the system fell, a bunch of light particles appeared, and then these light particles gathered together and finally slowly transformed into a human form. Then from the virtual body, the blink of an eye, it transforms into an entity. Uchiha Madara. Suyu was slightly startled, a little surprised. With the addition of Uchiha Madara's words, there have been 3 from Naruto world, which is really surprising. After a while, one wore a tight-fitting black combat uniform, with red laminated hanging armor on the outside, and long flowing hair. He is carrying a flame fan that has been passed down from generation to generation by the Uchiha family on his back. This fan is made from the branches of the sacred tree. It is extremely hard and possesses the special ability of Uchiha to rebound. In the original book, the opponent's ninjutsu can be reflected to the opponent, and here, he can still rebound some other devil fruit ability attacks. And next to Tuan Fan is a sickle. Uchiha Madara stared at Suyu in front of him, and then carefully glanced at his body, which was a flesh and blood body. Illusory technique. No, I should be resurrected. Revolving heavenly technique. Obviously, Uchiha Madara at this moment thought that what the previous system had said to him was an illusion. After a whisper, his attention continued to be on Suyu's body, and he slowly said, "Did you resurrect me?" "Are you dead?" Suyu asked. According to what he said, it is basically possible to guess at what stage Uchiha Madara's strength is at this time. "Now I live," Uchiha Madara replied. "Before you came, did any voice tell you anything in your mind?" Suyu asked tentatively. "Tell me what? Hehe, who would believe that low-level illusion?" Uchiha Madara replied with a smile. "How do you say it? Strictly speaking, it is not an illusion. It is true that you are dead, and it is true that you are resurrected now. However, the world you are currently in is no longer the world you used to be." Suyu answered slowly. Uchiha Madara stared at Suyu calmly and said, "Then where am I now?" "To be precise, we are all on the same ship, and the people in this ship are undoubtedly from another world. We are not part of this world." Suyu replied. "Are you serious?" Suyu smiled and waved his hand. "Otherwise you thought I would say these silly things to coax you. To be honest, in this boat, there is your fellow." "My fellow." Uchiha Madara was a little confused by Suyu's words. Of course. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Who? Senju Hashirama, and Jiraiya. Hashirama. When Uchiha Madara heard this, his eyes flashed and became interested. You mean, that fellow Senju Hashirama is also on this ship?" Suyu nodded. "Yes, if I didn't guess wrong, he should be chatting at the bow now." As soon as Suyu's voice fell, Uchiha Madara ran out. Looking at his back, Suyu murmured, "I shouldn't need to follow him, they should be able to guess that they are new members." With that said, Suyu cast his gaze on his attribute panel. Host. Suyu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Rem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wangyi 25%, Dinisha 25%, Kongna 20%, Uchiha Madara 20%. Summoning character inheritance. Kido Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Super Power 40%, Dragon Roll. Summoning value. 0,250,000. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Underfire 1900 2000, Thor 1036 2000, Armament Hockey Intermediate 1998 2000, Observation Hockey 1990 2000, Conquerors Hockey 1200 2000. Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 10/12. After a glance, Suyu's eyeballs were about to pop out. Good guy, it went directly from 180,000 to 250,000, which is a full increase of 70,000, which is cruel enough. Suyu shook his head a little helplessly. After sighing, Suyu closed the property panel and walked to the bathroom. "Anyway, don't worry, take it step by step. Suyu's boat has 4 floors, and the training room is on the 2nd floor." Boom. The wooden door on the 2nd floor was kicked directly into the air, and then rotated a few times in midair, and then landed on the bow of the ship. The eyes of the people chatting quickly cast over. Who is that guy? Wong was also taken aback. Intruder. When did it invade, since we haven't noticed it? It seems to be very strong. Rem glanced at Uchiha Madara and said calmly. When Senju Hashirama saw Uchiha Madara's first glance, his eyes were full of unbelievable, and he didn't slow down for a long time. Yes, he did not expect that he would meet Uchiha Madara one day in this world. Just when Senju Hashirama wanted to explain that Uchiha Madara was a new member, Uchiha Madara was the first to speak. "Hashirama, I didn't expect it. We could meet in this place." Uchiha Madara smiled wildly, holding Uchiha Madara's fan and pointing at Senju Hashirama. "I didn't expect that we would meet again in this world, Madara." Senju Hashirama laughed. Rem looked at Uchiha Madara and then at Senju Hashirama. "If I didn't guess wrong, I should be a new member. He comes from the same world as I and Jiraiya. Senju Hashirama replied. Chapter 165. Hey, everyone was slightly surprised. Originally thought it was an intruder, but never thought it turned out to be a new member. It doesn't make sense. If I didn't guess wrong, Suyu would personally introduce every new member. Lem said slowly. That guy should have gone to take a shower, so let this guy named Madara come out by himself. Dinasa analyzed from the side. You guessed it, it should be the same, mainly he has two fellows here, and he will know that he is a new member when he speaks. Wong also said lightly. If it's not an intruder, why should you go? Wu Luki said from the side. As soon as the voice fell, Uchiha Madara directly held the sickle in his hand and jumped, and slashed directly towards Senju Hashirama. Hashirama, let's duel. Senju Hashirama was also a little surprised at the sudden shot of Uchiha Madara. His hands quickly covered armament haki. Boom. Then he blocked Uchiha Madara's sickle with his bare hands. 12. Madara, don't mess around. If the ship breaks down, we will all be drifting at sea, and maybe you will be sanctioned. Senju Hashirama exhorted. He also did it for Uchiha Madara's good, and if he was messed up, he would definitely have to beat him up. However, Uchiha Madara did not take Senju Hashirama's words to heart, but instead focused on his hands. He was puzzled. He couldn't feel Senju Hashirama using chakra in his hands, but he took the sickle blow with his bare hands. This is, what ninjutsu? My sickle can't hurt your skin. Uchiha Madara said in surprise. You calm down, let's have a good chat. Senju Hashirama persuaded. However, of course Uchiha Madara would not listen to him. He lifted the sickle again with his backhand and smashed it directly. Reluctantly, Senju Hashirama directly released armament haki, and an invisible force directly bounced Uchiha Madara away. Above the air, Uchiha Madara rotated a few times and then landed on the deck. There is no Jian, and the chakra on his body does not fluctuate. What kind of ninjutsu is this? Uchiha Madara's eyes at this time had become Sharingan, and after a murmur, he continued to shout towards Senju Hashirama. Don't waste time, just come. As Uchiha Madara said, Sharingan began to spin at high speed, and in the next second, it became Mangekyo Sharingan. Seeing this familiar feeling, Senju Hashirama frowned suddenly. You guy, couldn't you just want to use that thing on the boat? Yes, the thing Senju Hashirama said is Susanoo. Kidding, if Susanoo fights here, what else can the boat want? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Madara, come with me. After leaving a word, Senju Hashirama quickly jumped into the sea, and then ran wildly on the surface. Don't try to escape, Hashirama. Uchiha Madara yelled, and as soon as his voice fell, a blue light suddenly appeared on his body. Immediately afterwards, with a violent shaking, a huge Susanoo flew up, and the pursuer Senju Hashirama. It's so big, what the hell is this? Wu Luki stared at Susanoo flying in the air, and said in confusion. This is Susanoo, unique to the Uchiha clan. Jiraiya explained to the side. Susanoo, what is that? Dinasa asked. This, I won't be able to say clearly for a while. I think this is not the main problem right now. Look at our ship. The pirate flag and sail have been carried on to another distant sea by the one called Susanoo. There is also a big hole on the deck. Fortunately, the impact did not break the ship in two. Rem said hurriedly. Everyone's eyes also cast back from Susanoo's body. Quote. It seems, things are really serious. It's okay, at least it didn't become two pieces. Suyu knew it might blow up, but he kept telling us that if we want to fight, don't move the boat. Tornado reminded everyone present. New members, I am afraid they will only be reminded. Perhaps it is. Suyu, who was in the bath, had a bad feeling when he heard the violent vibration. He quickly ended the bath and ran outside after putting on his clothes. He glanced at the missing sail, and then at the big hole in front of him. Are you breaking the ship? Don't generalize us, the new member named Madara did it. Wu Luki immediately clarified the relationship. Yes, Hashirama couldn't persuade him, so he started fighting. Look over there, Lem said, reaching out to the other side, while Uchiha Madara was controlling Susanoo's fight with Senju Hashirama. Suyu sighed heavily, and then said, this guy, can't you save me snacks? I'm just taking a shower, and the boat almost disappeared. Despite 660, the new members don't know the rules are normal. Ram lightly patted Suyu on the back and said softly. Right, Suyu nodded, then a faint light gleamed from his body, and after that, he floated. Where are you going? Everyone asked. I'll tell the new members about the rules of our boat. Suyu replied. It's not too late for him to come back. No, sometimes it is more effective to strike while the iron is hot. After all, Suyu quickly flew in the direction of Susanoo. Hashirama, you keep defending like this, but you can't beat me. Standing on Susanoo's forehead, Uchiha Madara yelled. No way, Senju Hashirama murmured, just about to use the move, but saw Suyu flying over quickly. Chapter 166. Then, he gave up the idea of fighting. And Uchiha Madara, seeing Senju Hashirama stop, of course he is not happy, but he has always wanted to win a match with Senju Hashirama. However, one thing he hasn't realized is that he can only play 20% of his ability. As for Senju Hashirama, his progress has reached 60%, so even if he really fights, Senju Hashirama can easily defeat Uchiha Madara. However, there is a saying that even if everyone is in a 100% state, Uchiha Madara still can't beat Senju Hashirama. This does not count Uchiha Madara's Sage of Six Paths mode. Hashirama, what do you mean? Senju Hashirama waved his hand. Madara, you are excited, whether it is you or me, have been resurrected, and our grievances remain in that ninja world. Uchiha Madara folded her hands on her chest and said with a look of disdain. What silly thing are you talking about, Hashirama? But then, I won't be merciful anymore. If you don't fight back, you may blame me for being killed. Senju Hashirama's expression is still as ordinary as usual. I don't need to do anything. What do you mean? You can beat me without having to shoot. Uchiha Madara's eyes flashed with unstoppable anger, staring coldly at Senju Hashirama. Madara, I didn't mean that. Senju Hashirama just wanted to continue explaining, but unexpectedly, Suyu had already come next to Susanoo at this time. Let me fight with you, while telling you about the rules of our boat. You are lucky, most people have never received this treatment. Suyu said lightly. Uchiha Madara's gaze shifted from Senju Hashirama's body to Suyu's body, and sneered. So, that's my honor. Not really, it's just that I was on a whim. Suyu waved his hand and explained. Well, I beat you, I will go to deal with Hashirama guy. Uchiha Madara said, adjusting Susanoo's position and aiming at Suyu. Senju Hashirama sighed helplessly and muttered to himself. Madara, haven't you noticed something is wrong? Are you ready? I'm going to do it. Uchiha Madara didn't understand Suyu's strength, so he reminded him at the beginning. You do it. Then I'm not welcome. As soon as the voice fell, Susanoo patted Suyu directly with one hand. Suyu dodged flexibly and pushed a certain safe distance away from him. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. But at this moment, a bow and arrow suddenly appeared in Susanoo's hand, and Susanoo quickly pulled the bow. Call out. A giant blue arrow flew directly towards Suyu. Suyu stared at him, but didn't dodge. He slowly raised his hand and followed closely, and his whole body began to flash thunder and lightning. Lightning strike. As soon as the voice fell, a huge thunder and lightning hit the light arrow directly. Boom. It exploded directly in the air with a sound. The impact directly caused the sea to roll up. Huh. Uchiha Madara controlled Susanoo to jump up, and in the process, he kept shooting blue arrows. Suyu counterattacked while dodging. Call out. A huge arrow fell on the sea, causing an explosion, and the huge waves rose directly, turning into raindrops and falling. Waves waved layer after layer. It turns out that you are from the Naruto world. As a respect, I will use your world's abilities. Suyu murmured while dodging. The next second, I saw its hands folded together, and red lines suddenly appeared around its eyes. Obviously, it was in the state of Sage mode. Sage art would style, the real number Senju. As the voice fell, the waves on the sea surface became larger, and it seemed that the entire sea surface was shaking. The ships in the distance began to shake violently. It is conceivable how much movement it caused. In a short while, a huge Senju Buddha statue appeared in Uchiha Madara's eyes. It's just that the Senju Buddha statue is floating at this time. Seeing this, Uchiha Madara, who was originally in an offensive state, immediately controlled Susanoo to stop. Then, his face was a little dignified, and a few drops of sweat burst out of his cheeks. Uchiha Madara can say that he is not familiar with this thing. In the past, he was directly used by Senju Hashirama to slap himself. Quote. This guy, what the hell, why? Hashirama guy's ninjutsu, he also uses it. Uchiha Madara muttered incredulously. In the next second, his eyes were cast on Suyu sitting on the forehead of the Senju Buddha statue, and he shouted. Suyu, what's the matter with you, why are you doing this too? And it's exactly the same as Hashirama. Suyu raised his mouth slightly and smiled. Guess. I believe that in the near future, let alone Senju Hashirama's King's whole cards, even your Susanoo will be able to do it yourself. You guy. This time, Uchiha Madara finally became interested. He felt that Suyu could just use it to try out his hand. Bring it on. With a cry of excitement, the bow and arrow in Susanoo's hand also turned into a long sword. Following that, Uchiha Madara re-controlled Susanoo and flew toward Suyu aggressively. Chapter 167. At the same time, Suyu was on board. Everyone was surrounded by the ship fence, staring at this side. It seems that this new member is also very strong. I didn't expect that he would also summon this kind of giant. Wu Luki said in a low voice. It's just that, his giant seems to be a bit smaller compared to Suyu's. Lem said calmly. Indeed, the Senju Buddha statue is many times larger than the current Susanoo of Uchiha Madara. Otherwise, let's play a game, let's guess, Suyu fights this new member, who will win? Wu Luki said with interest. What's the reward for guessing? Everyone asked. Actually, in my world, I am an advanced hairstylist. If you guess, I will help him design a handsome hair for free. Wu Luki said slowly. What if you didn't guess it? Everyone asked again. It's very simple, how about excluding me from the next official business on the ship? What you said is the same as if you didn't say it. Besides, I don't believe you are an advanced hairstylist. Wong also waved his hand and said 660. It's boring, Suyu definitely won this battle. Aizen said from the side. Seeing Susanoo approaching step by step, Suyu didn't panic. After all, Uchiha Madara's ability is only 20%, and Suyu also used the big move that Senju Hashirama defeated him back then. This battle actually ended before it even started. Suyu clasped his hands together and shouted. On the top. As soon as this word fell, the floating Senju Buddha statue began to move. The huge wooden fist began to hit Susanoo, who was flying over Suyu. Come on, let me see, is there the power of Hashirama back then? Uchiha Madara laughed grimly. While speaking, he kept manipulating the blue lightsaber in his hand, waving the huge wooden fist that came on him. Boom! The huge wood dregs fell directly onto the sea. However, it is a pity that Uchiha Madara is even worse than before. He has not been able to hold on for 10 seconds before being hammered into the sea by a huge wooden fist. Boom, boom, boom. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. With the fall of a punch, the waves splashed layer after layer, and the entire sea began to turbulent. Uchiha Madara, who fell into the sea, was stunned on the spot. Soon, Susanoo's bearing capacity was capped and disappeared. But the bombardment of the fist still continued. This attack lasted for a few minutes. Finally it stopped. However, the Uchiha Madara incident ceased, and the sea began to roll. It's not good that the guy in the tornado moved fast and directly let the ship fly. Senju Hashirama dived into the sea and picked up Uchiha Madara. I feel like I'm weakened. Hashirama, Uchiha Madara spoke first. This is a very normal thing, and it will recover slowly. Senju Hashirama helped Uchiha Madara to explain. When Uchiha Madara heard this, his heart calmed down a lot, and then his eyes fell on Suyu, who was floating in the sky. I lost. I believe you heard that too, that's not all my strength. Uchiha Madara explained. It doesn't matter, but, Uchiha Madara, there are some things I still want to tell you. Fighting on the boat is not allowed. It is even more forbidden to damage the boat. Suyu gave a faint exhortation. Although Uchiha Madara was reluctant, he nodded, pretending to be casual and said, I see. A few days later, New World, a certain sea area. Ha 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 ha. Roger looked at the newspaper in his hand, smiling from ear to ear. Rayleigh sat aside drinking, hearing Roger's laugh, and curiously poked his head towards him. Laughing so happily, could it be that something interesting happened to New World? That's right, Roger replied. Oh, let's hear it. The Suyu guys drove the boat to the Holy Land Mary Geoise to provoke the world government, but even though the back of the newspaper was written in the newspaper, they were frightened by the forces of the world government and fled. However, the real content should be that they had a big uproar and then retreated. The world government's method can only deceive the honest people, Roger said, handing the newspaper in his hand to Rayleigh. After Rayleigh took it, he just glanced at it, and Roger's voice sounded again. Tisk tusk, okay, this is called Aizen, and the bounty has almost directly caught up with Suyu. Roger said, slightly surprised. Aizen. Rayleigh was silent for a while, then said, that guy is really not easy, I can clearly feel that he is very strong, very strong. Roger nodded in agreement, then continued to flip down, and continued, crossing across the Holy Land Mary Geoise again, tusk tusk, it is estimated that the world government will explode directly. But then again, why did Suyu's gang run back? They left New World, Rayleigh said in surprise. Roger shook his head. Who knows, I have seen all kinds of pirates, but I don't understand what Suyu really wants, and I can't guess what he wants to do. Yes, however, I have a hunch that when we meet next time, his strength will definitely be greatly enhanced, and there will be many more powerful partners. Roger tightly grasped the wanted order in his hand, staring at him. Looking at the blue sky. New World, an island. Whitebeard watched the contents of the newspaper and couldn't help but laughed out. Hey, Suyu is really enough. When he got itchy, he went to the headquarters of someone else's world government to make trouble. If I were a bunch of world government guys, I guess my mentality would be destroyed by him. After smiling slightly, Whitebeard left the newspaper in his hand where he was, then got up and continued walking, looking for his extended family. His brilliance did not fall because of the fall of Rock's pirate, on the contrary, the brilliance that belonged to him began. Of course, not only Whitebeard, but also Golden Lion, Kaido, and Charlotte Linlin. Chapter 168. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. New World, a certain sea area, on a ship. Sure enough, these super-dimensional guys are really a bunch of lunatics. Longbread looked at the newspaper and sneered. What happened? Charlotte Linlin, who was greedily eating donuts, asked. Those guys went to the Holy Land Mary Geoise again to make trouble. Although the newspaper said that they fled in the end, it should be fake. Longbread analyzed. After all, since the last time I fought in the Valley of Gods, I have already had a certain understanding of the super-dimension pirates. Anyone who understands it understands it, it's not just that the world government is desperate for face. Charlotte Linlin didn't care too much about it, and still gobbled up donuts. Linlin, we have to pay attention to it. Suyu will undoubtedly be our biggest stumbling block in the future. Think about it, Captain Locks was planted in his hands. Longbread exhorted. You wait until I finish eating these delicious donuts. Charlotte Linlin responded. Looking at the way Charlotte Linlin looked at Longbread, he had a slight headache. He already had a bad feeling now. That is, when Charlotte Linlin grows up to a certain point, Charlotte Linlin will not listen to him. Of course, if possible, Longbread certainly hopes to control Charlotte Linlin for a lifetime. After half a month, Pirate Island, Hachino's. A certain pub is full of guests and it is very lively. Laughter and shouting echoed in the tavern. Beth, she and Cheryl are very busy. These two are the original characters of the author. They only appeared in the previous part. If you forget, you can go back and read chapter 4. Call. Beth raised her sleeves and gently wiped the sweat from her face, softly saying, "Oh, I can't be too busy at all. It seems that I need to recruit a few more talents." As she said, she picked up a barrel of wine barrels about the size of a head, and shouted at Shirl, who was busy going up and down. "Shirl, come, move it for the guests." Quote. "Come on, boss." In the tavern, most of the pirates from outside, of course, these pirates are basically small shrimps, and a small part of the people are the original residents who have been living in Hachinos. The boss's business is very good. At this moment, a middle-aged man walked in with a big belly. "Yes, it's good, but Shirl and I are the only ones in the store. They are already very busy." Beth waved her hand, a little helpless. "When you say this, I think of the young man who worked in your shop many years ago." The middle-aged man said with a smile. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Obviously, what he said is naturally Su Yu when he just crossed over. Having said that, Beth's face has obviously changed a lot. "I remember, that guy is called Su Yu. I don't know if I remembered it wrong." The middle-aged man continued. "Yes, that's right. Since Su Yu's departure, Beth has often inquired about Su Yu's news, but it is a pity that there is no news of Su Yu among the people she asked. Until later, the number of times gradually decreased, and at the end, he didn't go to inquire. It's a pity. Why would that guy want to be a pirate? You know, pirates are a career without a tomorrow." The middle-aged man sighed and said. Beth was silent for a few seconds, then changed the subject. "Uncle, what would you like to drink today?" "Be the same. Maybe sometimes, just by coincidence, the middle-aged man just left Su Yu and another voice rang from the side. "Do you know Su Yu?" A man with a scar on the corner of his eye suddenly inserted a sentence. "Are you talking about the former Su Yu who worked in this pub?" The middle-aged man asked rhetorically. "The captain of the Super Dimension pirate group, Su Yu, has also worked in this tavern." The man with scars on the corners of his eyes asked in surprise. "Super Dimension pirate group," Beth whispered, but she didn't know what Su Yu's pirate group was called. "I don't know if we are talking about the same person. A few years ago, he went to be a pirate. I don't know how he is now," the middle-aged man said lightly. "You often run outside. Do you have news about Su Yu?" Beth asked. "Find flowers." The man with scars on the corners of his eyes laughed when he heard the words. "Of course I know, that guy is a big pirate who offers a reward of 200 millions. 20 hundreds of millions. As soon as these words were said, the entire tavern suddenly became quiet, and their eyes were cast on the man with the scar on the corner of his eye. "Yeah, that guy is the man I admire. I really hope to have the opportunity to see his real person." The man with scars on the corners of his eyes continued. 20 hundreds of millions, that should be the same person we are talking about." The middle-aged man smiled. "Isn't it?" The man with the scar on the corner of his eye was a little surprised, then he turned around and continued to drink the wine without speaking. ... 0. The laughter in the tavern rang up and down again. Beth was not entangled in this matter either. After all, the tavern was too busy now, and she didn't have time to think about other things at all. A few hours later, a large ship slowly approached the shore of Hakino's island. "Real sail, drop anchor, land on the island." Su Yu stood on the bow and yelled. Then he glanced around. Although several years have passed, nothing has changed much here. Call. Taking a breath, Su Yu continued, "I feel like a family, and I don't know if Beth's tavern is still open." "Who is Beth?" Behind Su Yu, Wang Yi's voice sounded. "Be my benefactor. When I first came to this world, thanks to her taking in me, she took good care of me, and the wine she made was super delicious." Su Yu said. Her face appeared. A smile. Chapter 169. Unexpectedly, Su Yu, you still have such a story, I haven't heard you mention it before. Lem also walked to the bow and whispered. Su Yu heard the words, glanced at Lem, and smiled faintly. "It's not an important thing. What's more, your luck is good. I have eaten all the pains in front of you. Once you come to this world, you will not worry about food and clothing." When I first crossed, what Su Yu was most worried about was cheat. Also, everyone was worried. If you suddenly crossed into a strange world, it is estimated that the only thing that can give you a sense of security is cheat. He, listening to you say that, we are really lucky to come to this world later. Lem said with a grin. Su Yu gave her a white look, then stretched out her hand, and lightly flicked the seeds of her head, while exasperatingly said, "You still gloat." Lame hurriedly begged for mercy. Lame knows it was wrong, so I will dare next time. Quote. Okay, the skin is itchy, right? Look at my ancestral secret method, tickle it. As soon as Lem heard this, it was not the first time that she tried this tickling. She was scared and ran away immediately. Su Yu smiled faintly. Okay, let's stop making trouble. How much food is there in our boat? About a week or so. How long are we going to stay on this island? If you don't plan to stay for long, you can arrange to gather food. Rem said slowly. It's not clear how long you will stay, but for a short time, you should not be able to travel. Please move all the food in the boat out. Su Yu said. As soon as the voice fell, everyone's eyes fell on the tornado not far away. Tornado was slightly startled. Well, I think I'm unlucky, but your food has to be moved out. Do we need to arrange manpower to watch the ship every day? Ram asked. No need. Naval headquarters. Gang bone empty. The injury with Sengoku had recovered, returned to naval headquarters, and immediately held a meeting. In this meeting, Marine's combat power is basically here. Presumably everyone here knows better than me that not long ago, the Super Dimension pirate group landed on the Holy Land Mary Geois again for destruction. In that battle, the losses were severe. Not only were many celestial dragons killed, but even the top leaders of the world government sacrificed too. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. In this battle, neither our marine nor the world government have lost their face. Gengukong said solemnly. Everyone bowed their heads and didn't speak. They couldn't help it, and they were also helpless. Although they didn't catch up with the support, even if they catch up, they firmly believe that it won't have much effect, and maybe they will catch up with their lives. Since the fall of Rock's pirate, the balance between marine and the pirate has long been messed up. In the current situation, the overall strength of the pirates has been significantly greater than that of marine. Seeing everyone bowed their heads and did not speak, Gang Gukong continued, so I have said so much, do you have a way to deal with Suyu and the others? Marshal Steelbone, I didn't say that, if there were, we would have solved the super dimension pirates. A certain man said. Well, I think so too. It's because there is no such thing as the current situation is so bad. Think about it, the demon-slaying order you used to lead the team couldn't destroy him. Another man added. What the hell is going on in the world today? Why do all of them want to be pirates? Isn't our marine welfare not good enough? Gengukong was puzzled. It's probably because of Locks at the beginning. I believe that Locks' muddy water has passed, and the pirates should be much less than before. Sengoku analyzed. Hearing this, Gengukong also sighed helplessly and flew away. There was nothing left. Su Yu's affairs could only be delayed. After all, there was no 100% certainty that he could deal with them now. Well, I won't talk about Su Yu for the time being. During the time I was recovering from my injury, do you have any news about Roger and Rock's Pirates production party? Gengukong asked. Shiki, Edward, and Charlotte Linlin, the three original Rock's pirate cadres have established their own pirate group. As for the other members, there is no news yet. There is no news from Roger's side. Moses reported the situation. Gengukong heard the words, was silent for a few seconds, and finally said, okay, this is a breakthrough. Let's put the Su Yu gang aside and wipe out all the remnants of Rock's pirate. We want to destroy one by one. Speaking of the back, Gengukong clearly increased his voice. Where is Roger? Roger, like Su Yu, put it aside and first deal with the remnants. This task will be handed over to Sengoku. In addition, Garp, after our decision, we will promote you to Marine Admiral again. Gengukong said towards Garp. Not surprisingly, Garp immediately refused as soon as the voice fell. I reject. Garp, don't be self-willed. Sengoku exhorted. Garp, you guys can't be like normal people, shouldn't you be happy to be promoted? Tell me, how many times have you refused? Gengukong vomited. Steel, why did you mention this again? My mind will not change, I will not agree to this Admiral. Garp said calmly. In fact, Garp doesn't just want to be idle. Admiral has a duty to protect celestial dragons from being attacked. For example, in the original book, there will be an attack on the celestial dragons in the Chambord Islands in the future, and Kizaru will make a 3.6 tie. Garp has AD in its name, but it is actually more or less the opposite of celestial dragons. On the other hand, Garp himself should have thought that he is a member of the D family. If the position is too high in Marine and even the world government, one day he will be embarrassed when facing 5 elders and celestial dragons. So, coupled with these factors, Garp did not hesitate to refuse to be promoted. Chapter 170. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. Hearing the rejection from Garp again, Gengukong frowned and said bitterly, I said, Garp, you guy can't listen to me well. Let you get promoted, as if I'm going to hurt you. Garp retorted disapprovingly. Nonsense, I didn't listen to you when I was on the mission. Garp, don't be self-willed. This is an excellent opportunity. Most people want it, but they can't get it. Sengoku persuaded intently from the side. Yes, not long ago, Garp rejected Gengukong. Gengukong asked Sengoku to persuade Garp. However, it turned out that Garp's attitude was very simple and he did not want to be this admiral. Sengoku is right. This is something that many people want and can't get. Don't be so unaware. Gengukong cursed. Then you can give this opportunity of mine to others. Anyway, I am not interested in admiral or something. Garp spread his hands and stated his firm position again. Gengukong stared at Car 12 for a few seconds, finally dispelling the idea and returning to the topic of the Rock's pirate remnant party. Pirate Island, Hachino's Island. The tavern finally survived the peak traffic period again, and Beth sat tiredly on the chair, staring at the ceiling. Call. No way. No way, the bones are about to fall apart. It seems that we have to hurry up to recruit new people, relying on me and Shirl are simply too busy. Beth's inner thoughts became firmer, and if she wasn't in a really bad state, she would immediately prepare for recruitment. At the same time, crack, a sound. The door of the tavern was pushed open again, and the middle-aged man in the store drunkenly shouted, Beth is here again. Beth did not get up, stared at the ceiling, and said weakly, good wine, wait for tomorrow. Really? That's a pity, it seems that it's not time for me to come back. Su Yu said with a smile on his face. Come back. Beth, staring at the ceiling, was startled, and immediately sat up, followed closely, and stared at Su Yu. Over the years, Su Yu has changed a lot, he has grown a lot taller, and his personal temperament has changed a lot. Except for the appearance, compared with before, they are two people. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. There was a saying that Beth didn't recognize it for a while when she first saw it, but after a few seconds, her heart touched. Yes, this is a very unbelievable thing for Beth. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she couldn't believe that Su Yu, he appeared here. I'm back, Beth, Su Yu said, smiling slightly. Beth opened her eyes wide and looked at Su Yu blankly. She didn't make a sound for a long time, but her eyes soon became moist. In the next second, she strode directly over, hugged Su Yu in one hand, and then gave Su Yu a light punch in the back. This punch directly surpassed the 1,000 words of another encounter. You guy, you are so annoying. With that, Beth's hug tightened tighter, as if she was afraid that Su Yu would be gone as soon as she loosened it. At the same time, Beth suddenly felt her abdomen poked by something, and she turned her gaze to the side. Lem carefully retracted his finger and said with a smile, "Hello, Sister Beth." Beth looked at Lem with a look of surprise, calmed down her emotions, and then whispered, "You are." "I am a member of the Super Dimension Pirate Group, and Su Yu is my captain." Lem said with a smile. Super Dimension Pirate Group. Beth was startled slightly. It was precisely because of these 6 words that other guests left in the tavern immediately heard the reputation. The next second directly exploded the pot. Can't be wrong. Can't be wrong. This man. This man is the captain of the Super Dimension Pirate Group, Su Yu. Yeah, it's exactly the same as the one I saw on the wanted list before, offering a reward of more than 2 billion big pirate Su Yu. Moreover, there is more than Su Yu. It seems that all members of the Super Dimension Pirate Group are here. Senior Su Yu, Senior Aizen, Senior Hashirama, Senior Rem, Senior Ram. What happened to Hachinos that allowed the Super Dimension Pirates to land on this island? It seems, they seem to know the boss in this tavern. I'm going, it's true. At this time, the drunk middle-aged man walked up to Su Yu, looked carefully, then pouted, and said, "Wow, it's really Su Yu, that guy, he has grown a lot." Su Yu naturally recognized this middle-aged 663 man, and he often chatted with Su Yu back then. "Have you grown taller?" "I don't think so." Su Yu smiled faintly. "How about, let's sit down and drink and talk about your story at sea?" The middle-aged man said. Su Yu waved his hand. "Next time." "Okay, then." The middle-aged man nodded, sat back on his seat, and drank his wine. Beth looked at the members who entered the tavern and asked in a low voice, "Are these all your partners?" Some are outside, and some are free to hang out. They will come to this pub to meet later." Su Yu replied. "You, really are a big pirate offering a reward of more than 2 billion? Beth asked incredulously. Su Yu was silent for a while, and then replied, "Well, it's worth it." Chapter 171. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. However, strictly speaking, Beth has no idea what a big pirate of more than 2 billion is. She only knew that it should be quite powerful, after all, so many people knew it. Just as Beth wanted to say something, the people in the tavern began to slowly approach Su Yu and the others. Su Yu glanced at them, then slowly said, "Do you want to make trouble?" As soon as the voice fell, everyone was directly frightened by Su Yu's momentum, and everyone couldn't help but tremble. No, Senior Su Yu, we were just thinking, it's so exciting to see your real person here. Yeah, we didn't want to make trouble. Your story at sea is like a legend. We can say that we are all your admirers. Legend. Su Yu looked at them for a moment. Of course, if you think about it, you can escape from the slaughter order issued by the world government unscathed, and cross from the Holy Land Mary Geois to New World and so on. Aren't these all enough to be called legends? Can this be called a legend? Su Yu chuckled lightly. When those people just wanted to say something, Su Yu raised his hand and motioned them to shut up. Don't bother me. I don't like being surrounded by people and being watched by monkeys, so you should drink and leave. Go away. Everyone nodded when they heard the words. They were still very sensible, because they knew that if they didn't do it well, it was very likely that their lives would be lost here. After all, in their eyes, it is already normal for Su Yu to slaughter other pirates. Looking at the business in the tavern, there seems to be no improvement. Su Yu glanced at the few customers in the tavern. What nonsense, Cheryl and I are too busy to come, and are about to think about recruiting people. Beth vomited. We can help. At this time, Rem and Ram said in unison. Beth was taken aback for a moment, and then hurriedly said, that can't, you are all Su Yu's partners, how can you do this kind of thing? It's okay, Sister Beth, I can too, when I have time. Su Yu grinned aside. The news that the Super Dimension Pirates was in Hachino soon spread throughout the island. All kinds of dried shrimps, or people who want to be pirates, all surrounded this tavern. Obviously, their purpose is very simple, undoubtedly they are all pirate giants who want to see the world with their own eyes. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Some daring ones directly proposed that they wanted to join the Super Dimension Pirate Group, but without even thinking about the result, Su Yu directly refused. In the end, Beth closed the tavern directly because of too many people. In the evening, with Rem and Beth's preparation, a super rich dinner was prepared. Everyone is drinking wine, eating meat, and telling their own stories. This picture is very warm. Tornado sat next to Suyu, and it took a long time to slowly spit out a few words. I want to taste the wine that Beth brewed. Do you know how to drink? Beth asked with a smile. Obviously, looking at Tornado's figure, Beth thought she was young. And Suyu on the side explained aloud. Don't you think she is short? In fact, she is older than me. What? Beth looked surprised. Drink. I allow it. Suyu said with a smile. After getting permission, Tornado got up and went to play his own. Suyu held up the wine bowl and drank it with big guts. The wine Beth brewed, it feels like home. Does it feel at home? Beth's Shui Lingling eyes reflected Suyu with a smile on her face. Dissatisfied with you, although I have been out to sea to drink a lot of wine, but there are not many that are better than what you brewed. Suyu smiled faintly. In this way, a few hours passed, and some people began to get drunk, including Beth. How long are you going to stay here this time? Beth, who was flushed, asked seriously towards Suyu. Suyu smiled and replied casually. I don't know, I think I should stay for a longer period of time. Isn't it good to treat this as a home? Stop being a pirate, don't leave. Hearing this, Suyu's heart moved slightly. When she was about to say something, she looked over, only to find that Beth was lying on the table and fell asleep. Suyu took a deep breath and looked out the window. Holy Land Mary Geois. Recently, I'm summoned 5 elders. No, strictly speaking, it is now the 3 elders, and I'm has summoned them more and more frequently. Diaresis 5 elders came to meet Lord Yim. Yim stood up from the void throne, and stepped heavy, and came to them. It's time to change the name of 5 elders. I'm said calmly. Actually, we still want to fill these 2 gaps. One of the men said. No need. We see, Lord Yim. Even Yim was unwilling to say the reason, and they didn't ask too much. Anyway, they just did it according to Yim's intention. This time I am calling you here, Wang Wanghao, to discuss with you about dealing with the Super Dimension Pirate Group. Yimu said coldly. Does Master Yi have a good solution? The Super Dimension Pirates have returned to the front part of the Grand Line. I want to take the action personally, because I don't worry about it being handed over to you. Yim said slowly. What? As soon as Yim's words came out, no doubt, the remaining 3 men were immediately stunned. Chapter 172. Secure Asset Portal, your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. His face also became extremely dignified, and a few beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. Master Yim, please consider it carefully. The man in the middle said quickly. Yes, I also think that our world government has not reached this point. I think we are still able to handle it. It's just a matter of time. The man on the left hurriedly added. Master Yim, please give us some time. We will definitely be able to deal with the Super Dimension Pirates. Listening to their words, Yim didn't immediately answer, but stared at the 3 of them. In this way, the whole hall became quiet, and the atmosphere became more and more weird. After about tens of seconds, Yim's voice finally broke the weird atmosphere. You are right, it seems that it hasn't reached that point yet, but the threat of the Super Dimension Pirates to the world government is greater than I expected. Shisui said Yimu Shinru. Although the Super Dimension Pirate Group has become a major threat to the world government, even so, when it comes to the Super Dimension Pirate Group, Yim's heart is not in the slightest. It is conceivable that Yim's foundation is so deep that he cannot be pried at all. We are aware of this. Have you figured out their identities? Yim continued to ask. The 3 shook their heads almost at the same time, and then said in unison. Sorry, Lord Yim, there is no news at this time. 663 really makes people feel too strange. When they didn't show up, it was like evaporating from the world. Aizen, Hashirama, Rem, etc. The only one who was a little bit more was Suyu. Go on. According to the information we have received, Suyu first appeared on an island called Hachinos, where Locks gathered the first group of members. However, we also got the news that Suyu was not born on the island of Hachinos. As for where the utterance was made, maybe no one knows except himself. Yim's pupils shrank slightly, obviously not very satisfied with this answer. Master Yim, there is another weird question. Suyu completely breaks the common sense of the world. He has a variety of devil fruit abilities himself. Even, according to Marine Lieutenant General Garp, in World War I, he saw that Suyu was not afraid of the sea. Various kinds of devil fruit. Not afraid of sea water. But, when you say that, the guy you just called Garp is a member of the D family, right? Yim said calmly. Yes, his full name is Monkey D. Garp. I don't want to talk about other things, but please remember that he is a member of the D family, and the D family is the natural enemy of God. We know this very well. I hope so. I plan to give up. Let's go. Yim whispered softly. Yes. The 3 of them withdrew. Yim walked to the void throne, sat on it slowly, picked up Suyu's wanted warrant, and took a closer look. Suyu, where did you come from? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. 1 month later, after the news that the Super Dimension Pirate Group was stationed on the island of Hachinos, many pirates and pirate groups came on the island. Obviously, some of their purpose is to see this more than 2 billion man, and some of them want to join Suyu's pirate group. However, at first, Suyu was worried that he would be known by Marine in Hachinos, and Marine would send troops to Hachinos to make trouble. But now that it seems, their Marine has no such plans. Of course, the real idea of their marine is, pray wherever you have been, don't come out and make trouble. Just kidding, when we learn that Suyu is on the island of Hachinos, Marine will directly withdraw the Marine stationed on several islands near Hachinos. They were bored in the province, so they went to find Marine to play. And Lem and the others are also very harmonious with Beth, but when Suyu came back, Beth's tavern was closed. As for why, Suyu asked at the time, and Beth did not tell him why. There is another bad thing here. It is not convenient to receive news from the outside. Senior Suyu, Senior Suyu. At this moment, a burly man hurried in, still holding a stack of newspapers. Here, this is the new world news you want. Suyu reached out and took it. Thank you, you can go to Rem to get the money. No, no need, the burly man said with a grin. In his eyes, he felt that it was an honor to be able to serve Suyu. Some things need to follow the rules. Suyu said lightly. Then, well, thank you Suyu, Senior. You go down first, I will be looking for you when I need it. Okay, Senior Suyu. When he left, Suyu cast his eyes on the newspaper. Well, let me see if there are any interesting things happening in New World these days. Shiki wants to meet Roger. Marine stops. It probably means that Golden Lion wants to see Roger, and seems to want to discuss some information with Roger. Of course, how could Marine meet Roger for Golden Lion? He must have sent troops to stop it. After all, if the remnants of Rock's pirate cooperate with Roger, wouldn't it mean that Marine will suffer again? However, Roger disagrees with each other, just wishful thinking of Golden Lion. Scanning the rest of the content, Golden Lion and Marine clashed. To Suyu's surprise, the newspaper said that Golden Lion had destroyed 5 or 6 Marine battleships, and then left unhurriedly. Leaving coolly. What's the situation? Marine started to black out. Suyu said in disbelief. He remembers that before, most of the newspapers he read were ridiculous, but this time he cared so much about Golden Lion. Oh, I get it. Suyu said, with a smile on his face. Just as Suyu's words fell, Lem trot in. It's not good, Suyu. Suyu was taken aback when he heard the sound, put the newspaper in his hand on the table, and said, what's the matter? Madara fought with Hashirama. Fighting. Suyu stood up suddenly. Then hurry up. Take me there will be nothing to watch when it's late. Quote question mark quote. When Lem heard this, his face was full of question marks. Chapter 173. Hey, obviously, Lem was confused by Suyu's wonderful brain circuit. It is true that normal people usually rush to stop the fight from happening. But what about Suyu? Good guy, it's okay to run quickly, but it's not to stop them from fighting, but to be afraid that it's too late and they are finished. What's wrong? What are you doing in a daze? Seeing Lem stunned, Suyu reached out and just wanted to squeeze Lem's face, but Lem quickly avoided. No, shouldn't we stop them from fighting? Lem asked. It's not necessary. You don't know them, but I know them. They come from the same world. Also, in their world, what they play is probably a hostile relationship. So, they are destined to have a duel, sooner or later. It's better to be on the island now than to wait for a duel on the ship in the future. Suyu said slowly. As that's so, okay. Flat land far away from the village. Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara stood face to face, and there were people in the distance. Obviously they were all here to watch this duel. What is even more unexpected is that a reporter came, and I don't know where it came from. This long-haired man should have joined the Super Dimension Pirate group not long ago, said one of the men said. It should be. Now he is not in the wanted order, but even though he is a new member, I think those who can join the Super Dimension Pirate group should be very strong. Another man added. That's right, then this battle must be very exciting. I just hope that it will not be too fierce. I am most afraid that this island will not be able to bear it. As soon as the voice fell, the reporter came to them. Do you know the name of the member of the Super Dimension Pirate group? The reporter asked. First name. Right. The reporter nodded. Do not know. Paid. The reporter reminded. How many Baileys? 10,000 Baileys. The deal seems to be called Madara. I heard them yell like that. One of the men said quickly. 10,000 Baileys, although not much, but not too many. As Madara. Okay. The reporter nodded in satisfaction, and then asked. Do you still know any secrets of the Super Dimension Pirate group? If you know, I can give you more money. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. What do you want to know? The man asked. If I didn't guess wrong, Madara is just a simple name, not a full name. Of course, many of the Super Dimension Pirates are one word and two words. Before the reporter had finished speaking, the man intervened and said, You mean to ask me if I know the full names of the members of the Super Dimension Pirates? You are so smart. Hee. Sorry, I don't know. They know. Everyone else knows. They don't dare to talk nonsense about the money. When Suyu and the others come to the door, they will die. In the duel between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, only a small number of people came from the Super Dimension Pirates. For example, Aizen, Wang Yi, and D. Nisha, etc., did not come to watch the battle. Remember the agreement before the decisive battle, you can't use Susanoo, and I can't use the real number Senju. Anyway, the kind of ninjutsu that can make a big impact on the island can't be used. Before the war, Senju Hashirama couldn't help but remind Uchiha Madara. Of course, if Uchiha Madara opens Suzuo and Senju Hashirama opens Senju, the surrounding villages will definitely get cold, and maybe the island will collapse. Can you stop being so long-winded, and quickly start our unfinished battle at sea? Uchiha Madara said impatiently. Senju Hashirama's mouth raised slightly, and calmly said, "It's so, that's it. In this battle, it is obvious that Senju Hashirama's ability unlocked has reached 60%, while your Uchiha Madara has only unlocked 25%. The reason for the fight is that Uchiha Madara is not reconciled." Uchiha Madara took the lead, waved the sickle in his hand and jumped up, then swiped straight down. Senju Hashirama didn't even dodge, and saw that his hands were suddenly covered with black objects, and he immediately reached out to defend. Find flowers. Obviously, this is armament haki. When Uchiha Madara's sickle was cut directly into Senju Hashirama's hand, what Uchiha Madara didn't expect was that the sickle made a hole directly into it. What kind of ninjutsu? Very practical, this is the product of this world, armament haki, which can greatly enhance its own attacks and defenses. Senju Hashirama explained. Uchiha Madara gave a cold snort of disdain, and then saw him quickly withdraw the sickle, followed closely, and made a seal with both hands. Fire style, extinguish the fire. Upon hearing this, Senju Hashirama leapt back quickly. As soon as the voice fell, Uchiha Madara chakra gathered behind his throat and spit out a large flame like sea water in a very large area. The surrounding area was directly dyed golden yellow by this flame. Senju Hashirama didn't panic at such a huge scale of ninjutsu, and quickly sealed the seal. Wood style, the tree world is born. Boom. On the ground, countless huge tree roots sprang up directly, and immediately rushed directly into this sea of flames. Many people may still be absolute, the fire is a bit restrained, but the effect is not like this at all, but Uchiha Madara takes the west. At the same time, Suyu was flying to the place where Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama duel. Suddenly at this moment, a reminder sounded in Suyu's mind. Ding dong, the unlocking progress of Uchiha Madara has reached 30%. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for acquiring the ability to summon the character Uchiha Madara Mangekyo Sharingan. Please continue to cheer on the host, the higher the unlocking progress, the more the ability to summon characters can be obtained. As the promotion fell, Suyu's eyes suddenly shed bright red blood. Chapter 174. Moreover, this time the discomfort was very strong. For a while, Suyu directly released his superpowers, and then fell to the ground. A minute later, Suyu was relieved, sighed heavily, and tried to open his eyes. At the moment when I opened my eyes, the three Guyu Jade began to rotate at high speed, and directly advanced to become the pattern of Mangekyo Sharingan, exactly the same as Uchiha Madara's. After opening it, Suyu can clearly feel that his vision is much clearer than before. He came to the lake and watched himself reflected in the river. This is Mangekyo Sharingan, exactly the same as Uchiha Madara. Suyu said softly. However, he is not too happy at this time. After all, Sharingan has side effects. If you use it too much, your eyes will become blind. Only the eternal Mangekyo will not be blind, and the burden on the body will be greatly reduced. However, the advanced eternal Mangekyo can only be opened by transplanting the Mangekyo Sharingan of his own brother. So, at this moment, Suyu is still somewhat worried. Host. Suyu. Summon. Aizen 45%, Rem 45%, Hashirama 60%, Wuluki 40%, Jiraiya 40%, Tornado 40%, Wang Yi 25%, Denisha 25%, Kongna 20%, Uchiha Madara 30%. Summoning character inheritance. Kido Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Superpower 40%, Dragon Roll, Mangekyo 0500 Madara. Summoning value. 10,250 thousandths. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Underfire 1900 2000 Thor 1036 2000 Armament Haki Intermediate 1999 2000 Observation Haki 1999 2000 Conqueror's Haki 1258 2000 Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 10/12. Glancing at the latest attribute panel, Suyu was taken aback for a moment, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Because, he actually saw that Mangekyo has a break in degree. What does it mean to have a break in degree? Of course, it means that it can be advanced, that is, he does not need to transplant his own brother's Mangekyo Sharingan to start it. He can also become the eternal Mangekyo directly through the direct progression of the system, even Rinnegan is also possible. Ahem, if you think about it, this Mangekyo is also pretty good. Suyu murmured, and then continued to focus on his attribute panel. Armament Haki 1999, Observation Haki 1999, good guy, you make me a little bit uncomfortable with obsessive compulsive disorder. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Suyu started to complain. Indeed, the running in of these two Haki had reached 1999 a long time ago. Good guy, he just won't give you up to 2000, no matter how you use it, there is no way. In the end, Suyu just put it aside, resigned to fate. Call. Forget it. After that, Suyu squatted down and slowly reached out to take the water from the lake, washing off the blood from his face. The eyes have also recovered from Mangekyo Sharingan and become ordinary eyes. At this time, Senju Hashirama is over. Uchiha Madara has now taken the lead. Senju Hashirama, who was originally strong, has improved a lot after learning Conqueror's Haki. Now playing Uchiha Madara is not too easy. Call out. Boom. Uchiha Madara fell directly to the ground, and a big mouthful of blood spurted out. The crowd watching the theater in the distance couldn't help but start discussing. Sure enough, you deserve to be Senior Hashirama. Since the beginning, it has completely prevailed. One of them was said by the man. Of course, Senior Hashirama's bounty is very high. How could he be a newcomer than Senior Hashirama? Another man said categorically. If Uchiha Madara heard this at this time, he would probably vomit blood out of anger. Strictly speaking, this is an unfair duel. Hearing their discussion, the reporter came over again and said, "It's amazing, but I'm a little curious, what kind of devil fruit they eat." Obviously, the reporter was smarter this time. Instead of asking directly, he tempted them to answer. It's a pity, even so, he can't get more useful revelations. You are not alone, we all want to know. Yin, I guess I know, it will be a member of the Super Dimension Pirate Group from now on. The reporter laughed helplessly. Obviously, he thought he would get news that shocked the world government today. However, according to the current situation, it is obviously impossible. Suddenly, at this moment, among these people, a loud voice rang. Look, it's Su Yu, the captain of the Super Dimension Pirate Group, here. As soon as the voice fell, everyone's eyes began to scan the surroundings, and soon they all froze Su Yu in midair. The reporter stared at Su Yu, then slowly said, "Is this the captain of the Super Dimension Pirate Group?" Unexpectedly, he would. With that said, he quickly started shooting. Madara, I believe you can clearly feel that our current 3.6 strength gap. Senju Hashirama stared at Uchiha Madara, who was half kneeling. Uchiha Madara did not speak, and stood up again. Do you think I have only this degree? As soon as the voice fell, he saw his Sharingan spin at high speed, turning into an eternal Mangekyo. Chapter 175 Auto-generated chapter title, Chapter 176. Drink. I saw Uchiha Madara roar and slashed towards Senju Hashirama with a notched sickle. Senju Hashirama did not intend to continue defending this time, on the contrary, he directly launched an attack. I saw him covering armament Haki with both hands, and then his figure flashed. First, he avoided Uchiha Madara's slash, followed by a jump, and directly swiped a punch at him. However, despite the fact that Uchiha Madara is currently only 30%, but with superb combat experience, he quickly made a counterattack. He swung his sickle, quickly turned around, and aimed the Uchiha ball fan on his back at Senju Hashirama's fist. Boom. Accompanied by a dull sound, a strong air current suddenly appeared around him. The airflow centered on the two of them, mixed with the dust and mist, and spread in all directions. However, if Uchiha Madara is the next one with this punch, he will definitely suffer. Senju Hashirama already possesses strange powers. Now, with the addition of armament Haki, which he learned in Pirate World, it has greatly improved. Own basic strength. Uchiha rebound. Uchiha Madara whispered. Boom. As soon as the voice fell, Senju Hashirama flew upside down and landed on the ground, constantly using his feet to stop. This move directly shocked the people not far away. Sure enough, it is worthy of being a crew member who can enter the Super Dimension Pirate Group. The strength is not covered. Even the senior Hashirama with such a high bounty can last so long. Yeah, I really didn't think of this. I really want to join the Super Dimension Pirates. It's a pity, I don't even have the opportunity to do things for them. For these, I am even more curious. The new member, what is the weapon in his hand, can actually rebound the attack of senior Hashirama. Yes, I have also noticed, what kind of weapon is this on Earth, it can actually rebound attacks. I don't know, this weapon, this is the first time I have seen it when I grow up. If you don't say it is a weapon, I thought it was a large guitar. However, it is not unreasonable for them to have this illusion. After all, the Uchiha fan is not made of steel, secondly, it does not have any sharp mouth, and thirdly, it is not heavy and not too big. It gives people a sense of attack without any kind of attack. Boom. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama fought ninjutsu, although Senju Hashirama does not use wooden golem jutsu, wooden dragon technique, or the true number Senju. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. But his wood style alone is enough to make Uchiha Madara overwhelmed. The surrounding terrain has undergone earth-shaking changes at this moment. The originally sparse forest has turned into a dense forest at this moment, and it is still burning with raging fires. Boom. Uchiha Madara fell directly from the sky, smashed into a pit for a moment, and then lay there, staring at the sky, without moving. Tatata. Senju Hashirama walked over slowly and stretched out his hand. The grievances of the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan should be placed in their world. Madara, you are too persistent. Uchiha Madara ignored it, and at the same time, Suyu slowly floated over. You are here, Madara, I will tell you a secret. Secret. Uchiha Madara sat up and stared at Suyu in the sky. Similarly, Senju Hashirama on the side was also interested in this secret. In fact, all your efforts have been nothing more than completing other people's plans. That's right, the people who planned these plans are the people next to you. Who? Black Zetsu. Impossible, Black Zetsu was born by my will. Uchiha Madara vetoed it. Suyu smiled and said, what project Tasuki no Mi, all of this is nothing more than Black Zetsu's conspiracy to rescue his mother, including the words carved on your Uchiha steel, which have been tampered with by Black Zetsu. Quote. If it is placed in the original world, Uchiha Madara may not believe it, but if it is placed here, he has believed it 80%, because Suyu has no reason to lie to him. Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Madara sneered a few times. Believe it or not, don't mess up after the fight, don't sink the island, I'll go first. They fight, Suyu doesn't care too much. What he is afraid is that they open Suzuo and Senju to fight, and it will be bad if they sink the island. After leaving a sentence, Suyu floated away. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama froze in place for dozens of seconds. Finally, Senju Hashirama stretched out his hand. In this world, we all have no younger brother, but we can create a country that belongs to our ideal peace. Uchiha Madara's deep pupil stared at Senju Hashirama, and after hesitating for dozens of seconds, he stretched out his hand. Hachino's island, on the village. A woman in a kimono seemed incompatible with the people around her, and she was still wearing a long sword at her waist. One by one, she turned to the surrounding interrogators the same topic, and she was Paramesha, the person with the fruit of time. The fruit of time can travel to the future, but cannot go back to the past. You can also use your ability to send others to the future. She was born in the distant past and has traveled through the future more than once. Her purpose has never changed. Yes, she wants to go to the country of Japan. Do you know where the country of Haji is? Tianyu Shili, Wang Jiao, asked a burly man in a polite manner. The burly man took a close look at her. He didn't want to pay attention to it. After all, who had time to take care of you? But when he saw Tianyu's beauty, he was stunned for a while. Kunokuni, I know, the burly man said in a joking tone. When Tianyu heard this, he immediately had a bad feeling. As long as you follow me, I can take you to the country of Wa, how about it? The burly man leaked a weird smile. Chapter 177. When Tianyu looked at the strange smile of this burly man, she suddenly had a bad feeling in her heart. She stepped back subconsciously, and then slowly said, really, really? Is there a fake? But I am not free. The burly man reminded. I see. Tien Yushi nodded hurriedly, then took some money from her waist and handed it to the burly man. Unexpectedly, the burly man did not take it, but instead took away the money in Tianyushi's hand with one hand, and then scolded. Just this little money is not enough for me to stuff my teeth. I want to know from my mouth the whereabouts of that country. No way, but if you let me taste your taste, I don't need it. Money tells you. At this time, the burly man finally revealed his true face. Tianyushi suddenly frowned, and quickly stepped back a few steps, then put his hands on the long sword on his waist and looked at him cautiously. Did you finally reveal your true face? You don't even know where the Haji country is. Tianyushi said in a deep voice. The burly man sneered. He didn't bother to pretend, and said, if this is the case, I don't bother to pretend. I am a big pirate who offers a reward of 30 million. 30 million. Tianyu frowned. For her, she didn't know much about the pirate, but the way he looked at his tone should be considered very powerful. At this moment, the burly man walked over slowly. Tianyushi's spirit suddenly tightened, and immediately drew the long sword from his waist and pointed it at him. You. Don't come over. 667 inches don't struggle, it's useless, this island is our pirate's territory. The burly man walked over with a smile. Huh. Suddenly at this moment, Tianyushi took the initiative and collided with the pirate. Of course, Tianyushi could use her devil fruit ability to escape from here, but she was unwilling. Because, a kind person from an island near this island told her that the people on this island are very mixed, there are many big pirates who will come here, it is very possible to know the whereabouts of Wano country. Therefore, if it is not a last resort, Tianyushi will never release its devil fruit ability. At the same time, Suyu just floated over from the sky, glanced down, and didn't intend to pay attention. However, the kimono of the Tianyu period made Suyu take another look, and then he was taken aback and stopped in the sky. This woman, how do I feel where I have seen it? Suyu murmured. Frozen for dozens of seconds in the same place, Suyu's mind suddenly flashed a picture. I think of it, when this woman is Tianyu, that seems to be from 800 years. Muttering, Suyu leaked a smile. Yes, maybe, he can know the secrets of this world right now, knowing what happened in that blank 100-year history. Tisk tusk, my luck has burst. After all, Suyu fell from the sky. Boom. A sound suddenly fell among them. The burly man was stunned when he saw this scene. Indeed, he did not expect Suyu to appear suddenly. Senior Suyu, Senior. It's a group of people. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Tianyushi thought to herself inwardly. She became more worried. She felt that she couldn't deal with it alone. Now there is a senior of his, and the winning rate is even more slim. Therefore, her subconscious action went straight away. And many more. Suyu yelled and hurried to catch up. She has traveled through the future many times, and she finally got a little news. Now, he really doesn't want to give up this opportunity. I'm sorry, I can only wrong you. As soon as the voice fell, Suyu and the burly man were suddenly surrounded by a ball of light. The light appeared suddenly and disappeared suddenly, the next second. Suyu, or the burly man disappeared. Seeing the disappearing Suyu and the burly man, Tianyushi breathed a sigh of relief, then glanced around, muttering, no one knows that I did it, you can't blame me. Decades later, over the island of Hachinos. Suyu descended from the sky with this burly man, but Suyu could fly, so when he slowed down, he immediately floated in the void. The burly man fell to the ground. Suyu glanced around, and there were dense forests all around. At this moment, he suddenly had a bad feeling. This is the future. Su Yu frowned. He slowly floated to the ground, his eyes fixed on the burly man. What did you do? The burly man looked surprised and said, it's not me, it's not me. I don't have this. What I asked is what you did to that woman. Su Yu asked coldly. Hearing Su Yu's voice, the burly man was shocked, and he stubbornly said, it was the woman who attacked me, so I fought back. B************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** place. The burly man tried to change the subject. Su Yu looked at him with a cold face. Good fellow, it's fine if you travel to the future by yourself, and you also fell into the water. You don't need to know so much. Su Yu raised his hand, and the blue flame directly enveloped the burly man. Then Su Yu flew directly. He is in a bad mood now. He originally thought that he could know the 100-year history of the blank, but who knows, it has been transmitted to the future. Host. Su Yu. Summon. Aizen, 70%, Rem, 70%, Hashirama, 80%, Wuluki, 70%, Jiraiya, 70%, Tornado, 70%, Wang Yi, 65%, Denisha, 65%, Kong Na, 65%, Uchiha Madara, 70%. Summoning character inheritance. Kido Aizen, Ghost Blood Race, Rem, Wood Style, Sage Mode Hashirama, Superpower 40%, Dragon Roll, Mangekyo 0500 Madara. Summoning value. 10,250 thousandths. Bring your own ability. Evolution. Special ability. Under Fire, 1900 2000 Thor, 1036 2000 Armament Hockey Intermediate, 1999 2000 Observation Hockey, 1999 2000 Conquerors Hockey, 1258 2000. Warehouse. Awakening Card X1. Task. Summon 8 crew members 10/12. FK. Glancing at his attribute panel, Su Yu was stunned on the spot. Unexpectedly their unlocking progress had risen so much. However, it is a pity that there is no change in his own, but Su Yu is a little puzzled now that their character unlocking progress has improved, why they have not been rewarded. Lost because of your own journey into the future. If this is the case, it is really a big loss. System, can the character unlock progress reward be reissued? Su Yu asked. Yes, but it won't be free. From now on, every time a character unlocks 1% of his progress, he will get a reward until he returns to the previous position. Are they there now? Unconfirmed. Are some of them getting old? No, their appearance will always stay at the time of summoning. Su Yu slowly breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. All in all, this wave of oolong is a direct cause of trouble. Now, all he has to do is to quickly know what time period it is currently. Chapter 178. The rest of the content can be viewed as an extra, because many people can't accept it for a long time, but the author thought about it. If I go back on the spot, the plot arrangement in front of me will be a little overwhelming. So let's go back after something has happened. The specifics will depend on the reader's feedback, the author is still considering it, and nothing has been decided yet. The island of Hachinos has changed a lot. The village before it was already a dense forest at this time. After flying for about tens of minutes, Su Yu found a village. However, it seems that most of them are ordinary people, and the pirates are much less. Compared with before, it is totally incomparable. After Su Yu landed, he observed it carefully. The people here looked very strange, too. Now I don't know how long it has passed. If there are familiar faces, it would be strange. Call. Su Yu sighed slightly, this sudden incident really caught him off guard. Just as he was about to ask the people around him, he heard the sound of chap from his feet, and he looked down. It was a wanted warrant. He knelt down, then picked it up. Su Yu can say that he knows the people in this wanted order. Yes, he is really the protagonist in the original pirate book, Monkey D. Luffy, and at the same time, his wanted reward has reached 300 million. Su Yu was taken aback for a moment, seeing that the wanted order offering a reward was still very new, it should be a wanted order not long ago. According to this analysis, Su Yu has guessed the current time period. Asking these ordinary people will definitely not get any good news. After all, they don't know anything about the outside. Therefore, Su Yu went directly to the pier, and there happened to be a pirate ship that was big or small. Moreover, the surrounding pirates were drinking and talking. Su Yu flew directly over and landed not far from them. Seeing this scene, their spirits tightened instantly and looked at Su Yu with surprise. You, who are you? Don't you know me? Su Yu was taken aback for a moment. It stands to reason that he is also a pirate of 200 million, and his reputation should be quite high. The group of pirates shook their heads. Do not know. What Su Yu didn't know was that after he disappeared that year, his fate was the same as Locke's, which was directly concealed by the world government. With the passage of time, only the people of the old age will know the name of Su Yu. For example, members of Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Kaido, Rayleigh, and Su Yu, etc. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Listening to this, Su Yu is not very surprised. After all, he is a traverser. If you think about it, you can know that this must be a good thing for the world government. Who I am, this is not important. I have no malice in coming here. I just want to ask about your situation outside. Straw Hat Boy, do you know Luffy? Yeah, a reward of 300 million newcomers, said the group of pirates. This answer has allowed Su Yu to determine the current timeline. Have you heard the name Aizen? Su Yu asked again. After the name Aizen appeared, their expressions suddenly changed. Obviously, there must be something frightening about it. When? Of course, he is the leader of the world government offering a reward of 4.8 billion world blade. One of the pirates said in a deep voice. The blade of the world. What? Su Yu looked puzzled. Hearing that, the group of pirates looked at Su Yu with a hint of curiosity. The Blade of the World is an organization, and the meaning of its name is a sharp blade in the world. The leader of this organization is Aizen. It is said that the influence is stronger than the world government. However, their goal is not the world government. No one knows what they want to do. After listening to this, Su Yu has roughly understood. Good fellow, I didn't expect Aizen to be so good. So it's like this. Su Yu nodded. Find flowers. They are also very strange to do things. Basically they don't interfere with pirates and world government affairs. In this way, they get the advantage that world government generally does not proactively provoke them. Su Yu smiled and said, it's really strange. Have you heard of Hashirama or Madara? The group of pirates shook their heads. I haven't heard of it. Are they pirates? Probably. Su Yu said with some uncertainty. After all, it has been so long, who knows if they have washed their hands with the golden basin. That's not clear. We haven't heard of it. Are you going to see? Su Yu continued to ask. Although they don't know Su Yu's strength, the guy who can fly is definitely not easy. Where do you want to go? We will send you there. The group of pirates asked aloud. Su Yu shook his head. Seriously, he didn't know where he was going. He wanted to find his former crew members, but he didn't know where they all went. Do not know. Do not know. The group of pirates looked at Su Yu speechlessly, but at this moment Su Yu suddenly remembered something, if he remembers correctly. After the Roger pirates were disbanded, the guy really lived in the Chambord Islands. Maybe he had news. No, now there is a goal, Chambord Islands. Su Yu said. Chambord Islands. The island that stays far away is said to be quite dangerous. Are you really going to? Okay. Su Yu nodded. Of course he could fly over, but he didn't have anything to show the way. I was afraid that he would fly in the wrong direction. Okay then. Chapter 179. Secure Asset Portal. Your trusted source for secure and informative digital assets. Register with your real phone number and get bonus just for registering. Try for free. As for the latter, they are still willing to take Su Yu to the Chambord Islands. Of course, the reason is that they are afraid of Su Yu or something else. Su Yu is not clear about this. Through communication, they learned that their pirate group was named Martin Pirate Group, and their captain Martin was a pirate offering a reward of 35 million. The next day, Su Yu got up early, sitting on the bow, staring straight ahead. Why are you going to the Chambord Islands? I heard that it is very dangerous. There are all kinds of pirates who want to go to New World. Moreover, where most of the Marines are stationed, it is possible to accidentally leave them at any time. Where is my life lost? A man who seemed to be in his early 30s came to Su Yu and reminded him. Is it dangerous? All right. Su Yu simply answered, joking, he has crossed the Holy Land Mary Geoise twice. It's just a Chambord Island. What the hell? I'm going to the Chambord Islands to find a friend. He continued. Friend, is he a pirate? The man continued. It used to be, now it's time for the Golden Basin to wash your hands. How about you? Also a pirate. It used to be, but now I can as long as I want, Su Yu said lightly. Well, our Captain Martin is always hiring people. Would you like to join our Martin Pirates? The man said with sincerity. Hearing this, Su Yu chuckled lightly, and he said a few dozen seconds later. I am a person of the old age, and your ship of the new age cannot accommodate me at all. The man was a little confused, but probably he could still hear it, and that was a rejection. We respect your choice. Just as the voice just fell, suddenly. A voice came from inside the cabin. Everyone, get ready for battle, the marine battleship is here. At the same time this voice sounded. From above the sky, there was a screaming voice. Su Yu slowly raised his head, and it was the flying cannonball that made these sounds. Soon, under Martin's command, the ship began to move quickly, and the shells continued to follow behind. After a few minutes, Martin's ship stopped moving because they had been surrounded by the marine battleship. Above the marine battleship, read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Colonel Marine stared at the pirate flag. After a while, he said in a deep voice, Martin Pirates. If I remember correctly, this pirates, we have his wanted order for him. As soon as the voice fell, a witty marine walked out with a wanted order. Yes, Colonel, here. With that, he handed the wanted reward warrant to Colonel Marine. Colonel Marine glanced around, and then said with interest, not bad, I met a pirate of 35 million, let's catch them by the way and take them back. With a whisper, Colonel Marine shouted loudly towards the Martin pirates, you can't escape, you can catch it with your hands, so there is no need for casualties. Try it if you have the ability, Martin shouted unconvinced. Colonel Marine said with a small smile at the corner of his mouth, and said coldly, if this is the case, please do as you please. As he said, he continued to shout, fire. With the order, the warships from all directions began to shoot artillery shells, crossing a stunning solitary line in midair, and then falling towards the ships of the Martin pirates. It's over, it seems too much, we may miss it, Captain Martin, let's do this. One of the pirates watched the dense shells above, instantly sweating on his face, and his spirit became tense. Martin is also very helpless at this time. He is not demon fruit power. It is still very difficult to receive all the shells by one person. Just when Martin was about to cast Su Yu's eyes for help, a voice came from the side. Sorry, borrow your long sword and use it, Su Yu said. Without waiting for him to agree, he reached out and grabbed the long sword in his hand, and then waved it twice at random. Suddenly, a powerful air current began to be generated, and it slowly turned into a tornado, which directly bounced all the falling cannonballs. In this scene, Martin directly looked stupid not far away. Okay, it's so powerful, even swinging a sword casually, it has such power. Yeah, it's so strong. Fortunately, we followed what he meant. Otherwise, maybe we are already cold. Is this guy also a pirate? Or something else? Hearing what they said, Martin also fell into contemplation. His instinct told him that the man in front of him was definitely not simple. Sorry, my time is precious, so I can't tolerate your slow duel. Su Yu reminded not far away. Immediately afterwards, he floated slowly. Martin thought that Su Yu was about to fly to Marine, so he yelled, Boy Su Yu, be careful. Who knows, Su Yu didn't have this plan. He quickly swung the long sword in his hand, and the light blades flew directly towards the Marine battleship. Boom. As the explosion sounded, Marine battleships sank one after another to the bottom of the sea, and the surface of the sea also splashed with layers of waves due to the explosion. Martin's ship began to shake. Too terrible. In an instant, all the Marine warships were destroyed. His strength is somewhat beyond our expectations. Damn it, we really have never heard of the name Su Yu. After all, we all know the newcomers who are famous. Just wait and ask him. Can't ask, Martin said suddenly. Why? Captain Ma 3.6 ding. He wants to tell us, he will naturally tell us. If he doesn't want to tell us, he asks, he is naturally joking about his life. Martin said in a deep voice. Everyone nodded, and at the same time, at this moment, the ship flew directly. Pass through the wreckage of the Marine battleship and then fall into the sea. Here, your long sword. Su Yu landed on the ship deck and threw the long sword over. Chapter 180. Thanks. Thank you for helping us. The pirate took the long sword, and said falteringly. Strictly speaking, I want to thank you. Don't worry, you won't be allowed to travel for free this time. Su Yu said slowly. After all, Su Yu can still distinguish this point of grievance. No, you are too polite. Martin asked. Have you ever been a pirate? Another pirate continued. Su Yu nodded. What is your bounty? It's more than 2 billion. Su Yu didn't hide it either. After all, there is nothing to hide. More than 2 billion. Undoubtedly, when the people in the Martin Pirates heard this, everyone looked at Su Yu dumbfounded. Of course, they are more unbelievable. After all, they all know that there are people with faces on the sea when they come out, but Su Yu, who has not even heard of their names, is a little surprised. A few days later, on a certain island, Marine is stationed at the base. What the hell, are you kidding me? A dozen Marine 12 battleships were sunk by a 35 million pirate group in less than a minute. Crane cursed at the Marine who commanded the battle. Yes, I'm sorry, I failed your expectations. Colonel Marine said in a deep voice. Ha, Crane, don't be too angry, it's probably an accident. Garp said with a smile, sitting aside. That's right, victory or defeat is common. Sengoku also persuaded him from the side. Hebai glanced at the two of them, then cursed and said, You two guys, don't you have a backache when you are sitting? You lost it, but the battleship under my control, not yours, of course you don't feel heartache. We are all old, and there are many things, it's a good thing to let these young people experience it. Sengoku said with a smile. Experience belongs to experience, but it is unreasonable to be destroyed by a 35 million pirate group in less than a minute. He said. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The Marine colonel suddenly remembered something and suddenly said, Lieutenant General Crane, it seems that the one who destroyed our battleship is a new member of the Martin Pirates. According to this view, his strength is far superior to Martin. How would you be willing to join the Martin Pirates? New member. He was stunned. Yes, I just know the name, because Martin called out at the time, as if he was called Su Yu. Colonel Marine continued. Once Colonel Marine uttered the words Su Yu, Garp, Sengoku, and even Crane, who was still cursing before, suddenly changed their expressions. The whole hall seemed to be frozen by something, and this atmosphere made Colonel Marine's creeps involuntarily. After dozens of seconds, he said excitedly, What are you saying? You are saying it again. Colonel Marine was directly frightened by Crane's momentum. Sorry, we let you down. I must reflect on it. I'm asking you what is the name of that new member? He repeated. Okay. It seems to be called Su Yu. Is he about the same age as us? Garp also got up and asked. No. He is very young, Marine whispered. Hearing this, the Sengoku team breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, they heard this name that had disappeared for a long time and suddenly reappeared, and they immediately had a premonition of anxiety. Yes, Su Yu once had too much impact on them. If it weren't, Su Yu suddenly disappeared back then, and this world might have him, and it would surely be upset. It seems that we are worrying too much. That man has disappeared into this world somehow, just like Locks. Sengoku calmly said. Yeah, the most puzzling thing is why Su Yu disappeared. Garp also said. Who is this Su Yu you are talking about? Listening to your tone, he seems to be outrageous, but why I have never heard of it? Colonel Marine asked. You haven't reached the authority to obtain these top secrets. He reminded. Colonel Marine nodded, and then continued. By the way, the guy named Suyu is very tall, and he can fly. Can fly. Sengoku and the others, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, were suddenly lost in thought. Well, I think you should go out. He exhorted. Understood. Colonel Marine said, turning around and leaving. Above the hall, Suru, Garp, Sengoku and others were sitting on the long table and said nothing. In this way, after dozens of minutes, Sengoku said. What do you think is the probability? 50%. After all, that guy is always a mystery, only we can't think of, nothing he can't do. He said in a deep voice. 670 inches. I think it might be 100%, after all, I don't really believe in coincidences. It was a matter of flying. Back then, many people in the super dimension pirates would fly. I think he is back. Garp said solemnly. It's just that time has passed so long, why does he still have the appearance of years ago? Sengoku said. Having said this, Garp suddenly flashed his eyes, as if he was thinking of something, and hurriedly said, by the way, I remember. About 10 years ago, I ran into a super-dimensional pirate on an island called Konoha in New World. Hashirama, a member of the group, I was a little surprised at the time, he didn't change a bit from the past, and we are getting old. You mean, they have eternal life? Garp shook his head slowly. I don't know this, but we are all old. Hashirama is still the same as before.